Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So excited to be back, and excited to be back so soon, as I'm sure those of you who enjoy the truck sims and American Truck Simulator feel as well. So we'll get going on the road, and then I'll get you up to speed on where we're at and so forth. So we get some significant drop off in distance if we go to this job here. It's almost 150 miles, and it's literally the same route we just ran, just a little bit shorter. This one takes us over roads we've gone completely on, and really has no bonuses. There's going to be a little bit for hazmat, but not much. But this is an urgent delivery, and while it's the thing that's hurtful is the cost per mile is terrible. But looking at the experience, it's going to give us about 2,000 more experience because of the urgent delivery. So from a leveling up standpoint, it's the right choice, even though I'd prefer to do something else. And when I say I'd prefer to do something else, I want to be clear. It's only because of the fact that the dollars are so low, because for my virtual trucking company, dollars are the progression. So if I can get both cost and money, that would be great. The other trick we've got is, you can see we've got an articulated trailer, which we've not had. So those are always fun for getting hung up on things. There's probably going to be a lot of disconnecting to get gas and so forth. But we're going to get moving along, and as always, we got half a tank of gas, so we are going to get ourselves some fuel as soon as we can. And then we will continue. Wow, this is a challenging thing to try to go with these articulated trailers through that wonderful S-curve. Alright, this, I assume, has to go this way, which I assume was what the turn right was. Good news is we should be able to make it through there.
Go straight on.
So yeah, I think Whitehorse is just going to be part of our life. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. And
Get ready to turn left.
I don't know what to say. I'm trying to be clever about it, but there just really isn't anything to say.
Turn left.
So I am going to go down the route. I'm not that desperate for gas. I can go 388 miles, and once again, because of the articulated trailer, I would have really had to basically disconnect there, and that would have been a pain. So anyway, let me get to some housekeeping. So obviously the last time we had a mess on our hands with what was happening with the map and so forth. The good news is I did get a suggestion that I tried that appears to have worked in solving the problem of coming up from Mexico, and that was to download the Reforma map again, because the person, I don't know, I never really got clarity of, was there a reported bug of what I had and that was fixed? Or was he just thinking that perhaps there was? But in either case, I did that. It was the same version, so it was still 2.2.5, I believe. But when I went to download it, it was a site I've never been to before, so that gave me some comfort that clearly it was a different download location than where I had come from before. And I pulled it down. I was a little skeptical, I must admit, because it's like, it's it's the same version. They're not, you'd think if they fixed something, they would have released a new version number. But I ran a test up by Sierra Vista, so I was able to quick travel to Douglas, basically resetting some stuff and driving up to Sierra Vista, and I made it all the way up to the intersection. Ooh, we're getting some rain. First time we've really had some weather here. I don't even remember how to turn on my wipers. There we go. I think we'll put them on regular speed because it looks like it's a good storm. Alright, so we're going to have some weather, at least for a portion of this trip. If not, who knows how much more. But, so yeah, I didn't test everything. I didn't go to Nogales and test it again. I was just so excited. And I also kind of had a feeling that the likelihood of coming back up from Mexico right away in the next run was going to be low. I could have obviously taken that one to New Brunswick, but it would have literally been the exact same route. We would have simply stopped like 3 cities before Halifax. So it would have been, after a pretty painful video, just pretty painful anyway, and this is still better for experience, and that's really what we've got to target as we're trying to level up here. So this is going to give us below 10,000, which is, disappointing. God, I hate this turn. I keep forgetting about it. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wow. Well, it's not fragile cargo. So, we should be okay. It's just a matter of if we can get going. Wow. Alright, well, I learned my lesson on that one. So we're definitely going to have to stop at a repair place too, because my guess is we're going to start having all kinds of problems with the truck running. So, not a great start for our little trip here.
Turn left.
But in any event, at least we didn't roll over, which would have been worse because we would have had to have been towed. Yeah, I was trying to hit the brake, and I was, but clearly I didn't hit it soon enough. I gotta remember that turn out of Whitehorse. It gets me every time. So, and probably part of it was probably the fact that it was raining. That probably did not help, but I'm surprised, although I guess the road is pretty bumpy out there. You can see some pretty jagged edges of the ground, because it's not like I really ran that far off or whatever, but I hit something pretty hard. And that's why I think it gave me 7% and then 11%. So I'm not sure. Let me see. Alright, damage to the cargo is very minimal, which is great, because that was my concern. I don't think I have a GPS in the dashboard. I don't, so I have nothing that I need to turn off there. But yeah, so the hope is my maps are in good shape now. Obviously, I thought they were up until my last run anyway, but now, after hours and hours of testing, I think we're in good shape. So for someone who's trying to run the same setup here, and I am going from memory, so there's a possibility I've got this order wrong, but I think I've played with that order enough that I think it's burned into my memory. So the 5 mods to run both Mexico, Canada, and coast to coast, you put in the coast to coast compatibility mod, which I think is the Reforma compatibility mod first. Then I have the Canna Dream map pack, the latest version of that. Then I have the Reforma Mega Resources, or I'm sorry, no, then I have the Coast to Coast map. Then I have the Reforma Mega Resources, and last I have the Reforma 2.2.5 map. So that is the sequence of items that exists in the maps to get this to work appropriately. The thing that I had to get in the mix from what the original person was telling me, they were kind of giving me the order of Reforma and Coast to Coast, but I had to get Canada Dream in there. I always want to say Canada Dream, but it's actually CANA Dream. So it's Canada Dream is the map I'm using. And there may be other Canada maps, but this seemed to be the one that gave the broadest road network, which was what I was looking at. There were definitely others that were kind of specific, and I know one of the things, I think there's an Alaska map, which might tie to this map that I could, in theory, add on. Again, maybe one of these days. But right now, I'm not going to push my luck. I'm going to be happy that I got what I got. That was the shortest rainstorm ever. It's just a few hours. Alright, so the other good news, because we're coming from Canada, and we're not coming from Mexico, 3 hours and 11 minutes of real time is what this is giving me. So that is the one benefit here, is that these roads are pretty quick compared to what we've got in Mexico. So even though, we're going to be up here for a bit, again, I was convinced I'm going to be fine with gas and whatever, and I'm vaguely starting to remember that pulling out a Whitehorse is kind of ugly, but we'll see. I was a little worried about the turn, but I guess I'm okay. I'm just trying to get familiar with it because I'm thinking I might have one or two more runs out of this road before we're at the point where we might start doing something a little different. So, yeah, the good news is, what I just told you over the last few minutes is honestly the good news, because I was really starting to think, after all the testing I was doing and all the things I was attempting, was that somehow I was doomed. Someone else said it was working for them. They weren't getting the crash. So it was, one of those disappointing states of, calling tech support. And it wasn't a support person for the Reforma people or anything. It was just someone trying to help me. But, it was kind of one of those of, well, we've got a dotted line here, so we're going to go ahead and take it. I just do have to be a little bit more careful with this articulated trailer because it's a lot less forgiving, and I certainly can't be diving across the lane as much. But, they were like, it wasn't working, so it's like tech support telling you, well, it works for me. Okay, that's great, but it doesn't work for me, so I'd like to use your product, and what are you going to do for me? And I wasn't getting a whole lot of assistance there, so. But yeah, it's definitely great that I was feeling like I was potentially going to have the issue of every time I come out of Mexico, I've basically got one, maybe two ways out instead of the 4 or 5 that are available on the map. So it's good to know that I think at this point we should be able to drive anywhere. Now, there's no guarantee of that. Obviously, I can't guarantee that because I don't control that, but to the best of my knowledge, I think we are set. So down to 182 miles till empty. So definitely anything we see for gas, we are absolutely going to stop at. And this is obviously a much smaller fuel cell than what we had with the previous truck, because maybe we're going to get 700-800 miles when we're full. Which is not terrible, but it's certainly not 1,050 like we were getting. Now the good news is the load appears to be about as light as I had with the previous one. It's right around, I think, 40,000 pounds. So we're not having an issue of slow acceleration. And at this point, I think, once again, if it was going to be the maximum value, if I need to take an excavator or some sort of heavy haul, I'll do that. Yeah, this one's definitely tight again. Alright, so we've got ourselves gas. So we are stopping, and if I've got to disconnect because I don't think I can pull in, then I will do that, but I'm absolutely getting gas. So let's see, it looks like I can come around the back. I think I'm alright then. I'll just come in here. I think I've got a straight pump. This truck is definitely having a hard time slowing this load down. I don't understand, but it's definitely seems to be more twitchy that way. We've still got almost 10 hours till we needed to rest. So I'm not going to waste my time yet. It's early enough in the day. So here we go. Yep, 688 miles is all we can get on this thing full. So we'll be stopping for gas a lot compared to the last run we had. But this is the truck they gave me. So what you gonna do? As a contractor, you drive what they put you in. Alright, it doesn't look like anything is coming, but it'll be just my luck. Someone will be flying down the road. So the only other thing we need to look for at some point is a repair facility, because that's definitely something I want to remedy. Because just for standard wear and tear, like once you're above 10%, you do start getting engine failure. Obviously, it's worse and worse the more you get, but just the length of this run, we would likely have 7-8% wear, I think, regardless of what we did. So I'm not going to go out of my way unless I need to. Like if suddenly the truck starts shutting itself down every 15 minutes or something, then, you know, maybe I will pull into town, because it's possible like Watson Lake may have had a repair facility. I don't know. I didn't obviously look. But I'm looking to try to just keep moving along here. So on the in-game data, I know I told you it was a little over 3 hours in the real world according to what this was giving me. It's telling me 61 hours and 12 minutes now, 3,453 miles. And we have 162 and a half hours until we're required to deliver, basically Sunday at noon. So again, we've got about a week to make the run from here to South Carolina. And so the other reason this one was definitely a bit more appealing is I get the option to at least find some areas and unlock some areas that I haven't been to. I don't think it's going to be substantial, because I think this is going to be very similar to the run of heading down to Florida. But, you know, there will be some where on the other run that was legitimately what I needed to take. Between the two choices I had, the other one was literally going to be the exact same roads. The only difference would have been we theoretically could have tried to see if our problem was really fixed, but there's a possibility it's not, which would be very disappointing somehow. And and there'd be literally nothing else for you to see other than a different load behind me, and I think it would just be a dry van. I'm not quite sure because I think it was silicone or something, so I'm not sure how that's packaged up normally. Because it was a hazmat load, but I don't think that's a tanker for that kind of stuff. I think that ends up being, actually I think it was solvent, not silicone. So depending on if it was solvent on pallets or solvent in full liquid form, I guess would have determined what it was. But because the other thing that's disappointing is, I'm in the specialty division that I'm in my VTC is hazmat, so I usually love hauling that stuff, and if I can get that, I was like, I needed to swing a little wide, so I had slowed down enough to keep myself from flying off the road, but had a bit of a problem making sure I wasn't going to get clipped by anybody. So yeah, the bad news is we're going to stay in the 800,000s at best once we're done with this entire run, because we're barely getting $50,000, and that's assuming everything goes perfectly and we don't get penalized in some way. And like I said, unless we're late, we should be okay. So yeah, we still have 8 hours that we could go, so we could go past midnight, but I think I'm going to start looking for some rest, because I've got basically over 100 hours to spare. And we're actually doing pretty well, because we've gone down literally, unless I remembered it wrong, I thought it was 161 hours. We've gone down literally 10 minutes in the real game time, but I think we're substantially further down. We're almost an hour closer in drive time, so I don't know, maybe because we're moving along. Oh, there's a car coming, so I can't pull over there. I can try now, but the problem's going to be I'm not up to speed, so this is probably really a stupid idea. Yeah, I think, yep, that's the car on our side. I was like, there's a car coming, but we made it past the bus. I think this is taking me the same way that we've gone over and over. We're going to go all the way over and basically come down through Montana. So we've got, that means we know we've got like 1,000 miles or 1,500 miles in Canada, so it's a ways. So even though we are cruising along here, you get to enjoy the Canadian conifer forest for a bit of time here. So yeah, at this point, I was definitely looking carefully at the map before I went into the job market, just because I wanted to save some time. I didn't want to keep hopping around. Like, we've driven through part of California to get down into Mexico at the one way we went in when we were going to Baja, but we've got no loads that have been delivered to California. So in theory, there could be some there that would take us, like, say, from California to Florida, but I'm thinking they're all shorter than what we have available to us if we're kind of doing what we're doing, which is starting off in either Canada or Mexico, or ending in Canada or Mexico, either one. But I think basically the long runs will require us to cross country borders. which is okay. I mean, I know it's called coast to coast, which theoretically would mean we're staying in the U.S., but there's still coasts in Canada and in Mexico, so. Yeah, I am always, it's the phrase I use sadly all the time with all my sims, is I'm a glutton for punishment, because now I find myself like longing for, maybe I should look for an Alaska map, because it'll make it longer. You know, I don't know that there's anything else I could add on that would make it longer, because obviously it would be completely unrealistic to say, you know, we're driving to the Caribbean islands, because there's no way you can actually do that. I mean, I suppose if they did it with a bunch of ferries, but that would be crazy. And, you know, I suppose the only other thing would be getting into, like, Central America, and if we really went nuts, you know, all the way into South America. So they are all attached, so that's theoretically possible, but it just seems like I'm asking for trouble, even adding the American map. But I do know there's, you know, one of the things in solving this problem that someone linked me to is there is a posting on the SES forum that basically gives you a load order for maps and things, and I think on the ATS side, like, the sequence is like 30 or 40 maps long. I mean, it's a lot. So that implies that there's stuff that you can do in ATS, that there's a lot of mod maps out there. It's just a question of, you know, are they worthwhile? Are they good? And do they work together with everything? So, I mean, certainly, I think, yeah, because I'm kind of torn, because the issue ends up being, like, once I go owner-operator, as I've told you guys, I think I'm not going to run these gigantic runs every time, certainly. And I may not run them for a while. I may just find it's nicer to just get a shorter episode in. Then, as I said, I can do this more often, because if I know I've got, you know, a 2-hour drive or something, or a 1-hour drive, you know, where in an hour I think I can still go 700-800 miles. It's not like it's not a delivery of any kind, but they become more reasonable episodes for people who aren't diehards, who are willing to sit through hours and hours of ATS. And I can more easily fit them into my schedule. Because even on days, perhaps, when I'm doing Farming Simulator, you know, if I can just run a 30-minute or an hour-long run, you know, I can get stuff in. I can, you know, if I really go crazy, I could be putting out a Farming Simulator and an American Truck Simulator video every day. And, you know, that's within the realm of possibility once I get out of these approximately 4,000-mile runs that I'm doing at this point. Which is a little bit of what's enticing of, you know, what can I do to just make this thing go crazy and get myself, you know, a couple thousand extra miles and just do some insane run and just do that and be done. But the problem is I'd have to probably at least do 2, because I'd have to take a run that took me from somewhere I've already been to the edge, whatever I did. And what I'll probably do, because from curiosity alone, I'm just curious now. Like, I know there's Alaska maps, so I know there's stuff that I can do up there. And Alaska itself is huge. So if they're doing stuff somewhat to scale, you know, there's a possibility. I'm a little worried this is the same kind of S-curve that I ran off before, and it sure looks similar. So I did slow down, but I had enough momentum that I was able to get by him. You know, so we might get 500 or 1,000 extra miles just adding Alaska. But I'm also now curious, can I go south of Mexico? But, you know, what I'm not looking for is maps that are just, okay, yeah, you can, but there's one road and you're just driving down that road. I still would like a true map of some sort, which is what got me to these. Because there were folks that talked about, you know, some other U.S. maps, but that they were literally just, you know, a road across, and I don't know if that was accurate. I didn't load them and look at them. But just from the reviews, the coast-to-coast map was kind of the one that everyone pointed to. Like, if you want something across the U.S., this is the gold standard. And again, it's not this one. I'm currently obviously in Canada, so I'm on the Canada Dream map. But similarly, on the Canada side, that was the input here. So, but I just don't know if there's other things, because, I mean, in theory, and while, you know, it'd be fun to do once, I guess, you know, do something insane like from Alaska all the way to the tip of Argentina and, you know, make it a, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes series or something of my 12,000 or 15,000 mile journey, however long that would be. But that would probably be enough points to get me to the level that I could become an owner-operator. So in theory, I would just need the maps, like, loaded into work one time, and then I could, like, just go back down to this. Because especially if they're not interesting, you know, there's no point in traveling. But if they were interesting, like I said, glutton for punishment. There is something intriguing about, hey, I'm just an owner-operator, I'm going all over, and I take short runs, but I just, you know, keep working my way all through North and South America and drive all over the place. But we'll see. Again, I think I'm pressing my luck doing stuff like that. And once again, I'm trying to be careful. I am frankly amazed and very happy that I haven't just had the truck die and tell me. But my guess is the majority of the damage, because I didn't run into another vehicle, I probably have very little engine damage. It's probably all chassis damage. And I think if I was running like realistic physics and all that, I might be feeling it pretty bad. But that's partially why we're not on this, is we'd like to straddle that line between sim and game a little bit, so that it doesn't become crazy difficult. Oh, I thought I saw another raindrop. I'm like, is it raining again? Yeah, I keep looking up in the menu bar, because from Farming Simulator, like, there's icons that'll show you like it's raining or it's gonna rain. But I'm not playing Farming Simulator, so the bar is different. And it doesn't show me that. But in any event, we are now down to 4 hours till we need to rest, so we are definitely within the mod map window to start looking for some place to put our weary head. Plus it's 10:30, which means at this point we would be starting out in daylight for certain, because it'd be 8:30 already. So no reason not to stop. But I do like the fact, like, I mean, this speed is not even something you can get near in Mexico, so this definitely is going to help. But that probably also means it's very close to being accurate. I probably will still need 3 hours to get this done, and for nearly 4,000 miles, that certainly sounds reasonable. Ooh, gotta get over. And the good news is if the AI sees you on that side of the road, like, it does basically stop. So while you are approaching, it does its part to help you do a safe pass, even though I'm obviously driving probably certainly a lot more recklessly than if I was truly in a real truck. But yeah, this is a way newer tractor. It's only got 160,000 miles on it. I think the one we had last episode was almost 400,000. It was like 3,670 or something. So definitely a newer piece of equipment here. It seems like we're going uphill. The road isn't, well, I guess it is actually, because we're only at 75. We're not, even though I've got the cruise set at 80, it's not getting me that fast, and that might also be because of the damage. I don't know if it's been doing that the whole time or how that's been operating. That was a little close. Did not feel comfortable. And we are down to 260 miles before we're empty too, so we're starting to need both. And once again, let's not forget the hope of a repair facility somewhere. But my guess is, well, frankly, it might be hard to find one, because I don't know that we're going to be, well, no, we probably should be on base SCS maps at some point. They love putting in this S-curve. So yeah, we're coming up on 3,000 miles, so we will be below 3,000 before we stop today, because obviously we're not seeing any rest area in our mini-map. So it's not happening anytime soon. It is dark. So yeah, I definitely do speculate or wonder, like a lot of the players do who really enjoy this series, just how quickly and how long it will take SCS to expand, because there's a lot of opportunity for them, as you get over to the east side of the US, because I think that's going to frankly be part of the challenge, depending on how they really model things. The eastern half of the US is much more heavily populated than the western half. So while there's a lot of roads to drive out west, which is obviously where the focus of the maps are, as that's where the game started in California, and there's a lot of people in a lot of cities in California, so there was obviously a lot of activity there. But, if you look at a Wyoming map or a Colorado map, you start to get that idea, and it doesn't really change for a few states over. Missouri's not heavily populated, Oklahoma's not, Nebraska, the Dakotas, there's definitely a lot of states that will be coming up, that just don't have a lot there. Texas is obviously going to be the exception. But once you start getting kind of east of the Mississippi, there's a lot of folks and a lot of cities there. So while the land mass is smaller, I don't know that they're going to be able to put maps out any faster once they start hitting those states. because, you know, there's just going to be a lot more density there. So, of course, they could keep the maps kind of not as busy, but that just doesn't seem to be SCS's way. I mean, I'm thinking they're going to want to put at least each major city on, and, you know, there's a lot of things there that you could do. So, you know, but just it's got me thinking about it, because we're kind of heading over in that direction into South Carolina and stuff, and it's like, if and when SCS gets to South Carolina, like, when would that be? I don't think it's going to be in the 2020s if they do it. I really think we're, you know, out there quite a ways. Because right now, it's just, you know, I'm trying to remember, because obviously Wyoming was the last one we got. And I think that was October, November of last year. So we're almost 6 months out from when that got released. I'd have to go back and look. I don't really know. Let me check. No, we're just continuing here. So, you know, we really haven't gone that far on the map, but yeah, as I said. So we're actually not going, we're going even further, because we're going to the far side of Montana. That makes sense. So Saskatoon, we're going to be heading right by Misty Brook and the farm that we've got in Farming Simulator. It's just a little bit north of Saskatoon, but I'm sure I said that before when I was driving through here at one point, because I think I already knew that and was already playing on the new server, new map, when I came down from Whitehorse the last time, which I think was just 2 episodes or 2 runs ago. I gotta remember I can't say episodes now, because for the first time ever, the last one was such a disaster that it got split into 2 episodes. So this should be episode 12 is what you'll be seeing this as. But, you know, it'll be run 11. Oop, that is a sharp turn. I am not going to chance that, because I think these are the ones that end up, like when I crashed going up here before, it may have been this one, although it was probably closer to Whitehorse. But alright, so into Alberta. And again, we are not seeing anywhere to stop. This is just, oh, I did have something I should have pulled off, because yeah, there is nothing, and I've got less than an hour. Oh, this is going to get ugly. I really don't want to turn around. I should have looked at the map a little earlier, though. Because, yeah, other than, I mean, it's literally just at the cities. There, for whatever reason, there's no rest areas along the routes. Alright, well, let's keep going, and I guess we'll be taking our sleep penalties. Probably quite a few of them. The other problem is I think we're going to be taking gas, so this is going to be a disaster. The smart thing to do is to go back to Dawson Creek, because otherwise this is just going to waste so much time. I mean, I've got probably hundreds and hundreds of miles. I just have to be careful here, because I don't know with this terrain how this is going to work.
I'll find a new route.
Oh boy, I'm just hoping I won't. Good news with the articulated trailer, I may actually be able to turn around without hanging up on something. Because yeah, I've got less than an hour, and So this will make it a little bit longer in time, because I don't think we get credit for these miles. But yeah, at this point, and it's going to kind of take us in there. But we're still below 3,000 miles, even with all that extra turnaround, so. But I don't think we're going to get any extra experience credit, and I don't know that I would even notice it for the little bit. Yes, I know I'm running out of fuel. 100 miles. I'm hoping that will get me back there. So yeah, while this is a lighter load, obviously, with the tractor it's attached here, this thing doesn't have a whole lot of pulling power. I think I'm going slow enough. I can just keep letting the cruise do its thing. This is that crazy turn we had. Because yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm going to be sleeping till noon the next day. I'm back in that spot where I don't have a lot of daylight driving, which I would prefer to change to, but we'll try to do that next time. So, and I think this is what I started doing, is why I pull into Dawson Creek, because on these runs it's a necessity. Otherwise you're just stranded, especially, if I had the 1,000-mile fuel capacity of the other truck, I mean, I would have had like another 400 miles of fuel. Then it would have just been a sleep thing, and that doesn't like force me to stop. So while I'd prefer not to waste money, it's at least not something that slows me down. But if every time I run out of fuel, and it would happen every 75 miles, you've got to hit the button, you're then starting from a dead stop. It just would not be pleasant. So, and to some degree, I mean, while my goal is to do this semi-quickly, I'm not truly looking to just slack off entirely in the simulation portion, because that's not fun either. So, there's no way a truck driver would drive, 24 hours straight or something, which is what it was starting to look like I'd be doing, because I wouldn't be surprised if I was like 10 hours over, because yeah, at this point I'm at 0 minutes. I'm okay on gas. I've got 67 miles, so I'm not going to run out of gas, but I think I'm going to... Whoa. Almost didn't stop. Because I don't know that I can rest at the gas place. So I think I may head over to the repair and rest.
Get ready to turn left. Turn left.
Yeah, both of these are definitely going to be a disconnect and do thing. So I'm going to leave my trailer out on the road, because there's no way I'm going to be able to pull in and then get out of these places in these tiny towns. So that's a bit of where we, to make it playable, we have to step outside the sim a bit, where normally you're not doing that in real life. But you can see this is going to be just a gate here, and there's definitely nothing at the other location. So we're going to drop here. So I'm not going to have a lot of happy people, but it's what it is. So we're going to leave this trailer sitting there overnight while I go take a nap. I'm going to repair myself quickly. So let's see. So yeah, 11% damage to the chassis. I mean, a decent amount to the engine and all, but But that's why I think it didn't have or it didn't stop, because it wasn't. Okay, now wait a minute. So where can I rest? I know I'm getting tired. I'm trying to. Maybe it's probably these spaces up here. So you can see, I mean, yeah, pulling in here, in theory, I guess I could have pulled in and turned around, but I didn't know the trigger wouldn't be all the way in there. Because trying to back this thing out that way would just be a mess. So the good news is we didn't get any penalties. Amazingly, there aren't like 100 cars behind there, but I'm sure they probably just went around in the middle of the night. Sorry. Just trying to steer and change my camera view, and not working very well. So we'll pick it up, and then we're probably going to have to disconnect it again to get gas, but I don't want to come all the way back here after gas, so.
Drive safe.
Alright. So 65 miles.
Get ready to turn right.
Monday at lunch.
Right.
But we'll see if it's a... there's a possibility I can pull in here. We'll have to see. Yeah, it's going to be tricky, but I'm going to try it because I think I can do it. And once again, I'd rather, again, simulate rather than just totally play it off the wall. Because I think if I just start, kind of come in sharp and then turn, I can get a good angle to still miss that sign. So kind of go here, turn it up a little far, and then that'll give me the track that I think I need to make this work. And it looks hopeful. Wow, 536. It's almost like real gas here. So I think that's about what the diesel prices are now here near where I live. They may be going higher, but alright, 688 again. Police officer, I can't quite see. There we go. Whoop. I'm not going to take a chance because I have really bad luck with anybody actually giving me the right of way. And hopefully it'll let me turn before the light turns red, because I think it was red when I was starting to turn. And then this will take me out of Dawson Creek, and we'll get going again as quick as we can. If we get lucky and hit all these lights, it'll be quicker than if we don't. Ah, sadness.
Go straight on.
Whew. All right. Well, the good news is they are timed relatively close to each other. Well, I say that, and now that one's already turned green. I don't know. That would be really bad if I catch them all of them. That's a long way out of town to be doing that, but I think that may be the case because it's been green for a long time. Yep. Goodness, goodness, goodness. The reality of driving a big rig. Sometimes you've got this super fun stuff. Yeah, they were talking about some of the times when the trucks have to detour and then they're going through little towns like this, and how it wreaks havoc on the schedule when there's major crashes or something on certain interstates. Yeah, we're gonna get stuck at that next one too. Yep. So I guess they're not as synchronized as I thought they were. I thought somehow they were, but obviously either I wasn't paying attention last time, or again, I think if you hit them when they're green, they're synced close enough that at least these two you can get to pretty quickly, but can't really see the light, so we'll just wait. Nothing else we can do. Yeah, Okatie. O-K-A-T-I-E. Could be Okatie. Okatie. I don't know. It's not a city or a town I'm familiar with. I don't think it's a city. I saw it was near Savannah. Familiar with Savannah. I'm certainly familiar with that area down there in general. Driven through there a couple times. Never stopped there and actually vacationed in that area. Alright, just making sure that I can turn. Cut that a little too much. Ended up in the grass a bit, but it's okay. And then we're going to turn right here, and then we'll finally be back on the road about half an hour after we started. Which I guess in the grand scheme of things isn't too bad, because we stopped and got gas too, so.
Turn right.
Alright, nobody coming there. Make sure nobody's coming there. We can swing a little wide, make sure we don't get hung up on any poles, because we'd prefer not to do that. And we'll see how far we can get. So just as with any of my longer runs, you know, while you see them normally as just one episode, usually they're done in several different sessions, so I'm gonna have that same situation here. I don't have enough time, and if I did have enough time, I don't know that I'd have enough desire to finish this all in one sitting, but in any event, that won't be the case. But we might get a bit more ATS, because I'm kind of at that stretch where I'm kind of trying to press it. I'd like to get to the point where I'm buying my truck and starting to figure out how that's going to change my gameplay and my decisions, and just kind of make my my series a reality there and see what we do here. But, you know, definitely, I think like many truckers, feeling that call of the local routes over the road stuff that keeps you away from family for weeks on end sometimes, and you know, I'm doing what I need to do to achieve my goals, but it is difficult even in a simulation, because as I said, it's not like I'm sitting down and getting runs done. I'm just hauling away over multiple actual days too, so I get a little bit of that feeling, which is nice, because obviously the sim's doing its job. I just don't remember how far we got. I think we were further than this, but maybe not, because I don't remember going up any big hill. Again, it was the middle of the night, so maybe I did and didn't realize it, but I'm thinking, I mean, it might have even been just here that I turned around just before I went up the hill or something, because I wasn't too far, obviously, but... And yes, obviously, we certainly didn't go up this, because I would have remembered losing this and then thinking, oh no, I don't want to do this again, so I'll just press on and take the penalties, but... So... We obviously had done the U-turn before this. Wow, down to 34. Well, that shaves off some momentum, that's for sure. Down to 2.5 hours in real time is what I'm being told. 2,865 miles. And because we slept and so forth, we're down to 141 hours till we need to deliver. So lost 20 hours since we talked about that relatively early on in the haul. But yeah, we've got a ways to go. Let's see, are we? Because yeah, Edmonton is the first Montana. We're not even really technically at the border yet of Montana, so I'm thinking we're going to be resting one more time. We're certainly going to be fueling one more time in Canada. But yeah, it's a ways when we're going this way, and you know, just obviously like the US is wide, obviously Canada is as well, but a lot less people up in Canada. I don't think I'm... Oh, no, I probably am turning left. Yep. No choice but to turn left, but I can't see that yet. Now I think I'm finally seeing the X's across the horizon. So, and it's these little jaunts, chicanes, if we were racing, that take more time, because obviously we've got to take them at less than 80 miles an hour, and then that requires accelerating and just to slow down and turn again.
Turn right.
And yeah, we're already at below 600 left on the gas, so... But trying to keep moving as quick as I can around that turn. With the articulated trailer, it's a little bit easier because I don't have to swing as wide. But we'll see how everything goes with that. But if I recall, again, this is kind of the scenery that we're going to see all the way through Canada, and unfortunately probably most of the way to the run, so you know, I'm apologizing as if there's something I can do about it, or that I created the maps, but yeah, once again, it either turns into a lot of episodes, you know, it's going to be the same amount of hours of driving more than likely, because I've still got to log darn near close the same amount of miles to get the experience, so it still tends to be quicker to get through this in fewer runs, because I'm not taking the time to leave a city, you know, get in and then deliver in a city, which all takes 5-10 minutes here and there on each end. So even though it's pretty dull, this is the fastest way we can achieve getting to level 25 to 30, and I mean, I'd really like to get closer to 30, but it's getting tough. You know, just like I'm sure you guys as viewers might be longing for something a little different. I'm kind of at that point in my travels as well. So, trying to think of what other topic I can chat about with you today. We have snow again here. I guess I could chat about that. I did have to shovel again over this weekend. Something I'm extremely excited about, you can tell. we're kind of all at the point, we were at church this week. I was talking to some other guys, and they're in the same boat, like, just done with snow for the year. You kind of get to that point if you've not lived up in an area that has snow or whatever, but yeah, we all tend to get to that point where it's like, all right, it's time for winter to be over. We're definitely at that point. And it is, getting to be mid-March. It's definitely been a while. We've certainly got more winter behind us than we have ahead of us, so obviously you would expect then that cabin fever or whatever, and I don't know, we don't really have, I don't know that I ever had cabin fever. I probably do. I mean, I certainly like to get out and about and do stuff, but now that we're working from home and all of that, it's just become kind of more common. You don't have this feeling like, oh, I've been stuck in the house forever, because you're kind of in the house forever. And it's not stuck. It's a conscious choice of, I'd rather work from home than do something else, because I'd have the opportunity if I wanted to go into the office, but at this point, the cons of doing that outweigh the pros, so I'm choosing to stick with the situation. And my employer still hasn't returned to office, so if I was going to go back to the office, I still wouldn't have that choice. I'd still be working from home right now. We're supposed to get a 30-day notice when the office is accessible, but they are having us later this week, early next week. We're supposed to go in and clear out all our personal belongings, because they're kind of reconfiguring things, because we are shrinking our office space in the local area. I'm sure mainly because a lot of people chose to work from home, and the company's allowing that. So we had 2 floors in the building that we're in, and we're now going to have 1. And we're not in any fancy high-rise or anything. It's a 3-story building, and we had floors 2 and 3, and now we're going to consolidate to the 3rd floor. So I'm going to have to do that at some point in the next few days. I believe I've actually cleared everything out, but I do need to go check, because it's probably been a year and a half, or maybe going on close to 2 years, because I want to say it might have been May 2020, although I think I went in one time after that, but I don't know that it was later than May, March, April, May of last year, so it's probably darn near a year since I've been in there, and I can't remember with certainty that I have everything gone, but I believe at that point my thought was, because we had talked with our boss and had been told, unless it wasn't an option, that we would be allowed to work remotely, and given that we had remote employees prior to the pandemic, that would have been a pretty big stretch for the company to say, okay, nobody can work remote. Now, they certainly could have said only the people who were remote before the pandemic are the only ones who have an option of working remote. But thankfully they didn't say that. And so, because of that, and we kind of knew that it was likely going to be that we could be there. I think the last time I had gone in, I tried to collect everything to kind of leave it to the point of not having to go back, so that if they gave us that option, which in essence I guess they kind of are, they're not requiring you go back and look, they're just saying all personal items need to be gone by March 23rd. So that will be what will be happening. But so I'll make one more trip in there, although now that I think about it, gotta remember where I put my ID card to get in the building. I think I know where it is. It always used to be in a little basket by the door, and
Straight on.
I'm assuming it's still there, but we've done some work around the house and those baskets have moved around, so I'm hoping they didn't vanish or get lost or something, because that will make life really interesting if I can't do that. Alright, I'm hoping this curve wasn't too bad, so I'm hoping this one's going to be one I can keep going at. Alright, so now my truck is repaired, including the engine, but it does look like we're kind of pegging out at 75 here, which is normally okay, because there really aren't that many roads in the US that we're going to be able to go faster than this, although 80 is certainly possible. Well, got to 76, so maybe some of that engine damage was impairing our ability, but obviously not by much. And we won't know how much, because I'm going to have to hit my brake unless he's really nice and cuts over quickly. Look at that, I didn't. So I may get to see if it'll get to 77 or 78, but at this point it's obviously having a hard time. It's only a 10-speed gearbox, so I think those tend to have a bit of an issue. But I don't know that most trucking companies want their trucks going too much over 75 anyway, especially with a load. So I'm sure that's some of the logic as well of why they buy what they buy, so that you can't have this truck that can suddenly go 100 fully loaded, because that's just frankly pretty dangerous. As we saw even with our little thing, where I'm not heavily loaded, but it still almost caused me a substantial accident. But yeah, until we drive through Edmonton, we know we're not at the point that we're even close to being able to head on south. And I think, again, we got to get through Saskatoon, and so I think we've got both of those ahead of us that we're going to go by. I think we've already discovered or gone through where we can't discover them. So that's a nice, I don't know if that's a front loader or a bulldozer. I'm thinking it's a front loader, because usually I think a bulldozer would have tracks versus wheels. Yep, definitely a front loader. So I haven't hauled a load like that in a long time. So might be fun to do that, just to have some variety. Ooh, got a blimp. Now, again, do we have to? Yes, so we're going to turn left, and then we're going to continue. That's right, this is Edmonton that I think looks like Las Vegas. Alright, see, and this is telling me keep left and continue straight on, which is wrong. Well, I mean, it's kind of wrong. I have to turn left here, but yep, there's Caesar's Palace in Canada. Oh, the good news is, I guess we haven't gone this way down this road, so when we came up this way before, we must have been heading to Whitehorse or something like that. It could have been the trip to Prince Rupert. But going downhill there is helpful, although I'm sure we're going to scrub off some speed when we hit that hill over there. So these are definitely a little bit funny in their setup, but to be able to put roads in and so forth. Obviously, they need the roads to go over each other.
Go straight on.
Alright, so we had enough momentum where we didn't lose. Still lost 10 miles an hour. It wasn't nothing, and it wasn't insubstantial, but yeah, see, we're already down to 344 miles until we're empty. It's just not fun when you've got a small tank, especially when you have a small tank
Go straight on.
with great distance between fuel and rest stops. And we are below 8 hours already, which is probably a good thing because it's already 8 p.m. So my goal will not be to do the same thing I did yesterday in the game. I'd rather be off the road well before 2 a.m. I think at this point we're going to be at least 10, because I'd be surprised if we have any other options in less than 2 hours on the road, but we'll see. Because we are at this point in the window where I'd be comfortable stopping. So I think, you know, maybe Saskatoon might be the place, because I think that's our next major city that I think we're going to hit. But I think that means, yeah, we've got to go from Alberta to Saskatchewan. Alright, thank goodness. I saw the way station sign. I'm like, oh no, is it going to make us stop? But we got the green light. So that is awesome. And on this map, I think just hitting the road, we're going to discover all of it. So it's not as if we're missing out on anything. Yep. So there you go. I don't remember if I've ever seen a tour bus go into a way station. I don't know if that's something they would normally do, but I'm imagining it is, because it's not as if they have cars pulling in. And obviously the bus did pull in, so they have the logic there to tell certain types of vehicles to not go in. So, I don't know. I felt we were going downhill there, but we didn't go any faster than 73, so I guess we weren't. Because, yeah, now we're clearly going uphill because we're slowing down, which is never a fun thing. Hopefully we have a nice hill on the other side. It doesn't look like it. It looks like we're just leveling out at the new elevation, whatever that would be. But yeah, gas and rest anytime soon would be greatly appreciated. So next ones we see, I'm just not going to push it. But the good news is we're going southeast, but I think that's what we needed to do from Edmonton to Saskatoon. So, but like I said, I think we'll be going from Alberta to Saskatchewan before we get to Saskatoon. It might be right there, but we should see a border sign at some point. Alright. I was just worried he wasn't going to stay, but he did, so we're okay. Also was worried about, is the turn going to be more than I can handle, but it worked out. Alright, so we're coming up on 2,500 miles to go. So, as you can understand, that's kind of why I said, even if I could, not going to do it in one sitting. These are just far, far too long of a run to do at one time. But I do appreciate those of you, and some of folks have been letting me know that they do enjoy the long videos and they are watching them, so I'll keep making them because I gotta drive it anyway. So it's not as if I'm scratching the video or writing it down on paper myself. It just really doesn't change anything for me. There's obviously, it's not entirely true because I do have to render the video, but these videos are not ones I typically edit much, except at the front and the back. Obviously, I know I had that one point early on, I think, where I coughed or whatever that I'm going to try to find and get out, so it's not entirely true that I don't do that, but so it doesn't really matter if I've got one or two. Alright, well, we've got a rest area here. Definitely going to do that, and we've got gas, so all the better. Just initially all I saw was rest, so I'm like, we'll do that, but we can do everything, so even better than what I had hoped. Alright, thank you, Mr. Car, because I was like, yeah, I'd rather get over here, because then I'm not cutting over as far from the rest stop. But yeah, I think to do it properly, I need to go to the far end, so don't turn into this exit, turn into the other one, and that will give me the right angle to go into the rest stop. Although again, there's some challenge here, and unless I see something big and open, I may once again drop my trailer, but I'll try to pull in here and see if it'll give it to me. I was thinking it was not, but it did. Alright, 7:40 a.m. That will be marvelous. So I can back up a bit, but again, with an articulated trailer, I don't want to do that too much. But I obviously also need to make sure that I don't get hung up on those concrete posts now. But I think I'm good. Yep. So, an uneventful night, an uneventful morning. I love it. Make sure nobody's pulling out of the pumps. And we'll just keep cruising along for a little bit. But now we are below 2,500. So we do have some perspective. Once I get merged and moving, I'll give you a little more stats for those of you who care and are tracking. So just under 43 hours of driving time remaining. It's currently telling us we'd be there Thursday afternoon. We have till Sunday just afternoon to get there, which is 125 hours away. So we're still about 70 hours or 80 hours, actually 80 hours between those two numbers, so we're good. So I will more than likely try to keep this much more on daylight. Obviously we had the problem last time where I just couldn't find anywhere to rest until 2 a.m., but now at 8, 9 a.m. we're going to be darn near close to where we're going to be at our required rest anyway, so we'll see. We're obviously not going to discover Lloydminster because we didn't do that the last time. Good news is we won't have to pull off or do anything in Saskatoon. I'm assuming this is our Saskatchewan sign. It is. So we're probably close to Saskatoon. Alright, and I just got my signal from my family that they are done with what they need to be done with, so I'm going to be calling it for the evening soon. So probably the next intersection, because it's always nice to start and again not lose the momentum we've got. So I think I'm going to have to turn at Saskatoon. Yeah. So I may call it then. Although it looks like it might still be a highway, but if it had happened 2 minutes earlier, I would have just broken at the rest area, but at this point we'll get a little further along, and if I've got to slow down and cut it on the main road, I'll do that, but at this point I'll get to that sharp turn that starts taking us south by Saskatoon. And I'm thinking that's probably 5-10 minutes, so it's probably not that far, but Canada's always deceiving, so I could be wrong. But yeah, it's definitely very much a very, very repetitive map. You know, we've seen the same S-curve over and over. We've seen all the other stuff, so. And like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll be down at least into Tennessee before we split off, and we may frankly go all the way to Atlanta before we start hitting something we haven't hit before, because I think we've been through Atlanta, but maybe not. So I haven't really been looking at the sky much. I'm just curious, is it getting cloudier? Was it getting clearer? You know, it's been obviously well over 24 hours. Look at that, we got to 80. That's pretty impressive. I didn't think I'd ever see that. So it's definitely a bad time to be taking a break, but I've had, you know, I do need one, and it's not like I'm gonna. Oh my God, he scared me the way he jerked over. I really thought he was moving over to the left lane. Wow. Yeah, I'm like, I do not need an accident. Alright, well, that would have been another possible rest area. So here in Saskatchewan, they are a little bit more plentiful than they are in the provinces to the west. So if I can remember that, that's a good thing to know. But obviously, unless, you know, until I'm an owner-operator, I'm still going to be coming from somewhere way out, like Prince Rupert or Saskatchewan. I'm in Saskatchewan, or Whitehorse in the Yukon Territory. Anyway, so. But yeah, we're plowing along at the upper 70s. You know, we obviously lost a little bit of speed somewhere, but this is definitely a nice run right now. We've done like 150 miles since I last told you where we were at, so it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, and it probably wasn't. It was, I think, when we were coming out of the rest area. So we have eaten up some real estate, that is for certain. But yeah, I think we're coming up on the turn shortly, in a matter of minutes, I would imagine. Because I don't think it was that incredibly far. We weren't zoomed all the way out by any stretch. Yeah, I don't know that this is it yet, but I guess we'll take a quick peek. Yep, getting real close. So we'll do that. There isn't another. Yeah, no, I'm not going to pull over at Saskatoon or anything. I'll just stop in the middle of the road, and the way ATS works is we'll we'll be started from a stopped position right here, and right where we stop, and obviously we'll have to go from not moving. It doesn't save us at full speed. It would be cool if it did, and like basically put you in a pause, and then you could unpause so that you had time to make sure you were set to take over something moving at 75, 80 miles an hour, but it doesn't do that. Alright, there is the turn, so I will go. Actually, maybe I'll just end it right here. Because yeah, if I do that, then I'll be starting over from a stopped state, and then I don't have to worry about flying around the turn too fast. Moving the limestone further on. We're here at the curve. So, just trying to get everything set up. Getting the cruise set to 75. But yeah, as I thought, the sweeping curve here, we can just accelerate around, where if I had driven around it before I stopped... Oh, there's a... Looked, I didn't know, I think it was just the right colors. It was like, there's a trailer with like the Ukraine paint job, but that's an ETS too. That we have that. We don't have that in ATS, I just remembered. So I think that just happened to be something that had the right colors, although they may not be in the right order.
Go straight on.
So in any event, we are now headed south to the United States. Going to be going by Saskatchewan here, which is what's off on the left. And there we go. We can see it pop up on the mini-map, but as you can also see, it's something we've already discovered. So nothing exciting is going to happen here. The only difference will be, yeah, we're in town, so we get to deal with lights. He went a little too far, but I hate when that happens. It's almost worse than being able to fully stop, because it's like the engine has to switch, and there's even more of a hesitation. You can see how far that Jeep is ahead of us. And unfortunately, I'm thinking we're going to hit this light too, because the acceleration's not so great. And, we've got a ways to go. Well, maybe. I don't know that we'll get lucky enough for the next one. That was close. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to get hindered on the next one. I am going to move over to the right, however, in the event, especially if we have to stop. Oh, I'm going to push it. Because, yeah, I think... it got us. Darn it. I really thought I was through, but maybe my wheels weren't quite there. Because usually it's 4 or 5 seconds on the yellow.
Get ready to turn right.
But that's one of those that it's just a little better to get through town
Turn right.
and get moving. There's another one of those trucks and trailers. Seeing all of the same color this morning. And it's morning in the game and morning in real life. So, alright, so now we'll just try to get up to speed. We're in a low enough gear. I think we're in, can't see, eighth gear. It's in the center on the bottom of the dashboard information section. I don't know what else to call it, but so yeah, I'm thinking that trip meter, I just noticed that above the mileage. I think that's accurate, or close to it, so it may have been at 0. I've kind of gotten in a bad habit of resetting that when I start. no habit at all, unfortunately. I don't think I've reset it but once during the game, and that may have been during the testing of the map problems. I used to, by default, do it because it was then easier to tell where I was at. I didn't have to try to figure things out, but Sim Dashboard made it a lot easier, giving me the to deliver statistics. Then I didn't have to worry about that. But as you can see, then we've already got 1,500 miles logged, and don't forget that does include the little run in a circle to Dawson Creek to make sure that we didn't get a bunch of penalties there. So it's not entirely accurate, but probably at this point where we're getting up to like 1,550, I don't know that detour was more than 50 miles. So, and we're obviously not crossing the border right now anyway, so we're at 1,500 plus miles in Canada, which is kind of what I thought we would hit. That's what I thought I remembered from running it before. But it's been a while, at least in physical time for sure, since we've come down from Whitehorse in this direction. And actually, I'm not sure that we came in this direction this way anyway, because if you remember, we discovered some roads heading in this direction, including rest stops and so forth, which clearly indicated we hadn't been traveling this way on the roads before. So if we happen to hit another rest area before the country line, I guess that's what you'd call it, country border. So normally it's the state line or the county line, but I don't use that phrase a lot when I'm leaving one country to go to another, because obviously that happens a lot less frequently than doing the other things. So I'm less familiar. It's probably just the border of the country. Alright, almost at our max here. Creeped up one more mile. When I started saying that, we were at 73. Now we're at 74. So one more and we'll be where our cruise is set. But either way, at this point, we're certainly close enough that we're eating up road just about the same pace. I mean, that little bit, 1/75th of my road consumption increase is not going to be that significant. Oh, thank goodness. I was worried he was turning on his flashers and was going to cut me off, and I'd have to jam on the brake. But luckily I was close enough that he just slowed down and held his position. So, got a good amount of time, not a huge amount of time this morning, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get this all done. Either way, it's going to be a long amount of seat time, so it might come down to, do I want to get it all done, or have I had enough? But we're obviously going to make the progress we can make. There we go, we are at 75. So everything is at max. But as I said, I'm not quite sure that changes much. It'd be certainly, a slightly greater than 1% increase, and now we're slowing down again because of, I guess, some slight incline or something. So definitely this is a small, I think it's just a tiny little day cab that we're using. So I think this is Regina is how they pronounce this city. We'll see if the speed changes. Obviously, if we see a light at the intersection, which we do, and it's red, so we're gonna have to slow down whether we like it or not. And sadly, again, it's the first intersection of what look like 3. We've got 372 miles to empty. I think I'm right. and 9 hours to sleep. Alright, the good news is the light ahead of us is still red. The way that road is written, everything's just kind of jerking over. It wasn't quite a clean intersection. So we'll see if we get lucky here. Got ourselves on cruise to at least be as efficient as we can in speeding up. In the 8th gear here. Maybe the next one doesn't have a light, but I think that's unlikely. It does. It's already green. Obviously, we don't know how long it's been green. Don't do that, because then you're probably going to turn left on me. Well, either way. Too far back. Oh, so close. Let me check where I need to go here. I was going to say, I'm sure it's pretty obvious because I can see what I discovered and what I didn't. That is a big plane heading overhead, so I guess there's an airport. Yeah, planes don't really work that way, but we're here at this point in time where we get to see it do that, so looks like he's flying about 40 miles an hour. First, I don't know he'd be flying at that speed, and secondly, I'm pretty sure he'd be not able to turn at that speed, because for a little bit I do think I've heard about flying. I won't say I know, because I know nothing about it, as I've shared with my flight simulator attempts before. It's completely foreign and something that I have not been able to master. But my understanding is turning takes more lift than flying straight does. So I believe we'll be heading this way here.
Exit right.
And then we will be continuing on, hopefully all the way until we hit the U.S. border. Because I don't think it's incredibly far at this point. We're certainly going to be there before we know it. How about that? We'll be optimistic kind of when the kids ask, are we there yet? Almost. Real close, real close. It's the third time one of those blue and yellow trailers went by. This time it was closer. I might have been able to see what it was, but noticed it as it was flying past my driver's side window, so too late. Nice tractor being hauled on the other side there. Bulldozer. A lot of variation in the loads coming up into Canada this morning. Probably always a variation. I'm just looking for something to chat about. Oh, that was like a front loader shovel on the back of that lowboy. I was trying to see what that was. So almost up to, we're at the speed limit. Gain a little bit more. Hopper trailer just like ours, but just a single instead of a double. Yeah, the one thing I haven't done a lot of in this game is triples. I think it's possible. I vaguely remember doing it, but I think they're restricted to certain states, so you usually have to do some short routes to get those. Doubles are more open. I think they're actually allowed in all states, which is why you'll get things like what we have with the articulated trailer. So definitely a pretty good pace today. I think we've done pretty close to 200 miles already. So about 10% of what we've got left, a little bit less than that because we're still above 2,000 miles to go. But, you know, as I say over and over, we're doing the best we can. moving along. We're almost up again at the fastest we can go with the allowable speed limit. I think that was a hardtop Thunderbird that we just passed. That was pretty neat. Like that candy apple red. At least that's what I'll call it. It probably really wasn't quite that. I don't know that I've seen that achieved on any of the paint schemes here. But it was definitely popular back in that day. Might still be popular in this day. They just don't do it, so can't really test it. Alright, well, this is an unfortunate little bit of a hill. It's getting worse and worse and worse, so definitely going to do what I can to not make it even worse by having to slow down to stay behind somebody. Alright, finally dropping down a few gears, so we're at 8th. Wow, 27. So much for moving along at a wonderful clip. Oh, there goes that Thunderbird that we passed just a few moments ago. Alright, this is painful. So, got a long way to the top of the hill, as you can tell. I'm sadly thinking we could do a lot of things before we get there, because we are still slowing down. We went from 23 to 22, 21. Wow. You'd think at some point this thing would like go to 3rd or 4th gear and at least maintain the speed, instead of trying ridiculously to stay in 7th. Obviously, I don't know the algorithm for how they've coded it, but I would think, I don't know, maybe a truck would stay at this level. Because maybe the argument is like, once we get here, it's going to be faster to accelerate than it would be switching through gears going uphill, where probably in the split second between switching, you're falling backwards some, and that's enough to basically dampen your momentum. I don't know. We're speeding up a bit, but unfortunately it looks like we've still got a hill climb for a while. So yeah, this is painful. You know, in the moment, it's like, feels terrible. Like it's really not enough to dampen the whole thing versus say, hey, I'd rather take loads out of Mexico than Canada, because again, the average speed in Mexico is sufficiently slower. I thought the incline went up a bit, and it did, because we're slowing down again. Good news is I don't see too much more of an increase in elevation, so maybe we're cresting the hill here. We're gonna hope. We're gonna hope. Down to about 250 miles of fuel, so we probably are going to have to pull over, and maybe we have a shot here, or it might just be a rest pull out. Now we are still kind of climbing. That's unfortunate, because that means we're not going to speed up too much, although it's not doing too badly. We're at least above 30. I don't know why it's cycling through the gears as fast as it is. Oh, I think this might be the border. So, if we go this way before, again, hopefully I'll remember. Even though the hill is terrible, it's how we get across the border. So, but yeah, that places this at, I wonder if I can just, I should be able to just drive through the E-toll and then not have to play that game. There we go. I don't know why I haven't done that before. Probably because I've noticed it far too late. So there we go. Welcome to Montana. I've been to Montana. I've driven in the state. Although I flew into the state, so I did not see the Welcome to Montana signs, but that doesn't seem like something they do, although, I mean, they are known as Big Sky Country, so maybe that blue background would makes sense. Right, in theory, I can increase this to 80, and this is about kind of how Montana goes. I think there are some roads we were on in Montana that actually were 85, which was pretty nice when you were moving along somewhere. It did feel weird, because usually you're not going that quickly on roads in the U.S., so it's, my senses could tell you're going faster than you should be. Because while maybe once in a while when I'm like passing somebody and just really trying to get by on a road like this, I might get up to 85, 90 miles an hour for a little bit, but then you're immediately dropping back down. So, but I think we've seen these trucks, these day cabs, kind of top out at 75 anyway, but we'll put it up there just in case it can coax a mile or two extra out of it. That's always fun. The trucks pull around and then they always do brake on you. I mean, all vehicles do. The cars will do that too if he drops in front of us, but my guess is he's going to go by the truck too. I am surprised we're still, although I guess we're not above the speed limit. I was going to say I'm surprised we're not catching that truck at this point, given how close we are, but we're only close to the speed limit, not to, in theory, what our max would be. So if we can get closer to the 80, we probably will start catching him again. Because I think the AI's pretty set to not be going faster. And yeah, you can see, I think we're creeping up a bit. So that is a good thing. I'm going to move over in case we do catch him, because we're not going to catch him quickly, but someone could come upon us pretty quickly. Look at that, we did hit 80. So, glad I set my cruise there and didn't just say, I'll never get there, I'll just leave it at 75. So once again, 5 miles an hour is a substantial lift versus just an additional 1 mile an hour, so half tempted to go a little quicker, but I don't know in the grand scheme of things that it's going to matter quite that much, so we'll just do this because we know we won't get flagged by police officers at this speed. I think we're going uphill again. Yep, dropping down a bit. Looks like some construction on the other side. With that container office or whatever, it looks pretty permanent. So I'm guessing that's, and that's one of those strange map anomalies where the land and the road just exist in the ether, at least it looks like. Now that is a big hill. I don't like it. Good news is we're going 90, which is awesome that it's letting us do that, but we're going to slough this off very, very quickly, I'm quite sure. I just don't want to be going 20 again at the top, but we may be. Already down to 60, and obviously you can see those numbers are falling like a rock. Yeah, this is definitely a hill you don't, well, at this point I think we're going to be at the rate if we would have been anyway, but we would have climbed up it the whole way. That you don't want to say, yeah, I'm taking a break from the game right now and then restarting from a complete dead stop. Alright. Probably very realistic of what the world is like in Montana, but yeah, one of the things that pops in my head is there is a mod for ATS. I think it also works, or there is one like it in ETS called Realistic Physics that, if you then set your settings on your trucks to kind of be right in the middle spot or turn them all the way down so that they're truly fully affected, is supposed to make acceleration and obviously, the handling of swaying side to side and so forth more in line with and a lot less forgiving than they are now. I can't even imagine if during game physics we get to that level, what that hill would be like. With realistic physics, we might be going like 5 miles an hour. I imagine there's not a hill that you suddenly couldn't climb at all, but I don't know. Another one of those curiosity things, like what I was talking about a little while ago about can I find more maps and extend myself in crazy, crazy directions and start taking my trucks even further, but at this point, you know, we're not going to turn on realistic physics. There's enough challenge. So I do that sometimes on other profiles. You know, I think I may have recorded a video or two that I may have put on the channel at some point early on. I don't know. Because I do sometimes dabble in kind of as much realism as I can, where I change the economy, put realistic physics on, and so forth. And so, you know, you're making a tiny, tiny fraction. Again, a run this long might still be thousands of dollars, but, you know, it was not uncommon to run for a half-hour run and make $80. You know, which kind of was supposed to be more in line to what occurs. Alright, so we're going to go around the loop. We're here at 94. So I think that means I guess we stay to the left.
Keep left.
So yeah, you can see here again, we didn't, yeah, we're down to 100 miles, and of course we're not seeing any gas. Welcome to mod map land. But yeah, as you can see, we've never gone this way because we've not discovered this exit. So we came up the other way when we were heading in this direction. So hopefully we're going to see some gas soon. We are on a major interstate, but that doesn't matter much in the coast-to-coast world. Oh, I see it on the edge of the screen, so let's hope, zoomed in like we are, that it's closer than 88 miles. But we're in our old it'll be what it'll be land. Not that we ever leave that land, we just don't always talk about being in that land, because it's just an unpleasant memory, because usually the only time we bring it up is when there's some imminent danger of something that we'd prefer not to happen happening. And then we are also down to 3 hours and 15 minutes to rest. So it looked like this is both a fuel and rest stop, so we'll definitely be doing both. You can see the almost full bed up there. And it will obviously be potentially a little fuller when we arrive. Because, yeah, we're coming up on 3 hours. And the driver usually starts audibly yawning at about 2 hours. Yeah, I don't know. Time's obviously crawling because I was like worried we're going to run out of gas, but we've only gone down 25 miles on our fuel gauge, and I don't think it's because we're suddenly become more fuel efficient. Because clearly we're not accelerating very fast, so we're at best level. Although I will say this is longer than I thought it would be, but it's got to be close. I'm going to be confident that it's not over 100 miles that we're seeing on, in essence, a fully zoomed in map. I don't know that I could have gone in any further than that. May have been 1, but I don't think so. I think that was it. Oh, that's just the road sign, or the interstate sign. Yeah, it's probably good. Again, the higher speed we get up to, obviously we're getting through more road at the same kind of level of fuel, because I'm sure we're pegged. I know if I'd be driving, I'd have my gas pedal depressed fully to the floor, so I'm sure on cruise control it's doing something similar since we're trying to still accelerate. Alright, well now we're below 30 miles. Now it's definitely getting a bit nervous. As I see things pop on the horizon, there's always some hope it's... I'm thinking maybe I'm seeing the gas station there in the center, but I don't know if that's just a mountain that's not displayed fully. I don't know. It's looking like signs and things. Come on, give it to me. Because now we're down to 16. Yep. Wow. We're going to be running on fumes. That's for sure. I'm going to see if this changes. I'm just going to coast. Where is the gas? Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm like, I don't have time here to like go drive around and look for it. 7 miles. Yeah, that was a bit much. So yeah, I was like, are there other pumps as I was pulling in? Because I couldn't see anything. Alright, so I need to kind of curve out this way a bit. I think these trucks just fly through here is the problem. Goodness, everything's flying through here. I want to... Oh my god. Just need to get across so I can try to rest. So I was trying to go this way because I think I'm going to have to, again, pull pretty far forward before it's going to give me the ding to rest. Come on. Alright, this is not good. That's just terrible. No other way to say it. It's terrible. I need bigger sleep points than that. Because, yeah, I don't even think I can make the turn here, because obviously that truck is angled out. So I'm going to have to do some crazy stuff to try to get myself out of here. But hopefully it'll work, and I won't cause damage to the trailers and other ridiculousness like that. We'll get on our way. Alright. So we'll get moving. See where we can get, because at this point we're heading east. It just dawned on me that, and we probably would have done this before, because I think like when we went down or came up from Florida, it would have been similar, where I don't think we touch the official map space anywhere. Because obviously Montana's not official, and then like once we get out of Montana into the Dakotas, it's, I think, where we'll hit. At that point, we're too far east for even like Wyoming and Colorado and those states if we start going south. So we may not have to hit a way station all the way. So we might not know officially how much we weigh. I mean, we know we're hauling. Again, Sim Dashboard gives me that, and one of the things I have up, 46,297 pounds of limestone, but obviously, again, our full load, you know, our full weight includes our vehicle too, so Keenan Advantage, I know I've mentioned that, they're one of, if not the largest fuel hauler in the U.S., so Not unexpected to see one of their trucks. I'll change that view to be in the center again. I realized I was kind of looking more down inside my cab than normal. 1766 is what's left. Just about at 30 hours of drive time. 102 hours, 40 minutes of total time allowed. So, doing great on this urgent delivery of limestone. And I would think, I don't know, just thinking about the geography, the geology of the area, it might be probable that there isn't a lot of limestone locally in South Carolina. I do think that's a little bit more out west and more in the Midwest, where those things can be mined a little easier, partially because you kind of need mountains and hills to mine them out of usually. They're not normally just buried in the ground, although they could be. Obviously, there are mines we have that are like strip mines, as we've seen, like in the viewpoints in the last run. We passed a few of those, but again, those were kind of down near Mexico. You know, you could argue that's still out west. It's certainly west of South Carolina. Pretty much, obviously, everything is west of South Carolina, given that South Carolina is on the east coast of the United States. But yeah, we'll get to go a little bit further. You know, we're still likely 2 or 3 fuel stops to go before we get there. So again, we've done a lot more fueling on this trip than we have in a while, for certain. You know, with the sun coming up in front of us, it's definitely, dashboard's a little more washed out in how it appears. I do still have all the lights on. I just tend to run usually with lights on all the time so that I don't get hammered with headlight penalties. Because usually, sometimes even now, you know, it's almost 8 a.m., but sometimes we'll still get hit with a penalty if we pass someone, and I've never figured out exactly what that trigger point is, or if it's a little bit random within a certain area or what. And so, you know, I'm not seeing any police officer on the other side. Right, so Bismarck is in North Dakota, so we're already in North Dakota. So yeah, at this point, like, I think we're safely we'll be in coast-to-coast map the whole way. I mean, it's not that there aren't way stations along the way. I just don't think the logic is built into the map to trigger those. I mean, they tend to be within the stations where we pull off, where if we wanted to weigh ourselves, we could, but it's not requiring us to do that. Alright, so seen and now leaving Bismarck, because I'm pretty sure that's the sign on the other side that says Bismarck. So we are now out in the North Dakota plains again. There's another farming simulator map I've played with a little bit recently. Got a couple attempts actually, because we were struggling early on. The map was available pretty quickly in FS22, but a lot of the automation wasn't, and it was definitely a big farming map out here in this area of the country, Hastings, North Dakota. I don't know exactly where that is in the state. I didn't actually look that one up. Oh, this is sadness. Oh, now it's even more sadness, because if he's pulling over, he's not going to be moving yet, because it takes them a while after they change to accelerate. But more traffic. Alright, so the one thing I was thinking of when I had taken that quick break, I've got less than an hour and a half now in real time. I think we are in the window that it becomes more of a want to rather than can on finishing. So as far as what becomes the barrier, I believe I will have enough actual time. I've got more than an hour and a half till I need to stop playing. It's just a matter of, do I want to go another hour and a half? Because my back is acting up a bit already. Which is also, I'm sure why truck drivers periodically just stop to walk around or whatever, because it gets uncomfortable being in one position the whole time. Looks like maybe another rest stop with gas, in case someone was in need of it. We are not at this point, but we will, again, discover that heading this way for the first time. So it is nice with that, knowing that, we might get a little bit of that here and there. But there you can see there's a weigh station in there, but those are just the voluntary scales. They're not an actual state weigh station. So it just kind of had occurred to me that neither in the Canada Dream nor Coast to Coast, and frankly I guess in the Reforma maps, are there weigh stations, although there are at the border crossings, obviously, like when you're going in and out of Mexico. They'll have you check in. So, 1.44 is coming for ATS at some point. They just put out an announcement of a drop-down trailer, so it's like a lowboy, and a flatbed, but it has a little step down from the fifth wheel back that, just gives you that view. So those will be available, I think, to be owned. And then they come with lots of configurations where you can get the tarp sides and so forth to still make them almost like a dry van, but obviously with a flatbed configuration. And several others. I think they said there's like 8 or 10 options of how to set those up, so definitely a lot of variety. But that got mentioned in the last couple days, and once again that usually starts to mean it's always potentially imminent that it's coming. So I'm curious, and again I'd like to finish before an update, so there'll be no problem with this one, but as I've said, I'm kind of on a bit of a push to finally get these done, which means I want to kind of keep pounding ahead on this series, but somehow I'm feeling a little bit of the danger of I may start a run and then suddenly it'll get tossed on me and basically I lose that. And I guess we'll just be upfront with it about it, and then if that happens, you'll see, probably what was recorded. There's that truck again, blue and yellow. But yeah, I can't make out what it is. But then again, obviously, if I've gone, 3 hours and then it dies on me because it's near the end, or, I still had an hour to go, kind of putting up a video for 3 hours that I then didn't get to finish, I guess wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So, it is more ATS. It's not as if not making a delivery is somehow makes the rest of the run any less actual, but it kind of feels like all that effort was put out for nothing because we didn't get the reward at the end. We didn't get paid. We didn't get experience. All right. Is that just a building out there? I guess so. First I thought it was like a silo of some sort, and I guess it is like a barn structure. Not quite sure why it's coasting. I guess maybe it can't go any faster. I'm just confused because my cruise is set at 80. But it is almost like the engine isn't running anymore. Alright.
Go straight on.
Do I go straight on? I do. Okay. Very strange. Yeah, well, I turned it back on and there we go. Now it's finally... That is weird. Yeah, I like stopped and started the cruise again just to like make sure there wasn't some sort of a weird glitch, but I don't know what happened there. So we go straight on and then it'll start to curve us down south. So I'm not sure if that's a state border sign that we're coming up on, or... Yeah, I think it is. Is it Minnesota already? It is. Welcome to Minnesota. So we get into the state and then start heading south as well. So we begin our trek down towards South Carolina. 1,520 miles when I glanced over. We're obviously a few miles further along now. Yeah, I honestly don't know what is happening. Unless this is just like a slight incline the whole way, but... It's almost like we're stuck in 9th, and it's not switching into 10th for some reason. And therefore, we're only going the speed we're going. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like we're climbing, but we're clearly putting along where we can go faster than this normally. So hopefully that'll change at some point. And sadly, with the small fuel tank, we're already below 400 miles till empty, which, like it or not, on this map, could be concerning, because we had hit 2 or 3 fuel stations very quickly across I-94, and then, you know, I don't know if then suddenly, now that we're out of those states, they haven't modeled them as often, but we'll hope. Certainly don't need rest. We're at 9 hours and 9.5 hours, so yeah, we might be, it might be just this like slight incline that isn't allowing it to accelerate, because, you know, we're kind of fluctuating between 61 and 62 miles an hour. Half tempted. I just don't know that it would change the outcome to like slow down so that it drops to a lower gear and then maybe have it climb through the gears again and hope that it works properly. But I don't know why it's hung up on 9th and not switching to 10th and theoretically going quicker. Alright, I'm gonna try that. Just because now it's going to switch to 10th. That is just really strange. So I go slower and it switches to 10th. So great, now we'll be stuck at this speed for all eternity. I guess we are accelerating a bit, but I mean, ultimately this is what I want, is to be in 10th gear, so... We're not that much slower because we were at 61 or 62, so, you know, but at least this is kind of doing what I thought, is that because we were in 9th, I don't know if that's why we were unable to accelerate faster. But we'll find out shortly, because if we can get up to, you know, even 65, that would be an improvement. But now we're kind of stuck here at 60, so we're basically at the same point. I was going to say maybe we're cresting whatever, but I don't think we are. I think it's just the turn was not letting me quite see the road. Yeah, I just definitely don't need some car to pull in front of me and then require me to slow down. That would not be cool. So yeah, if we hit 63, we'll be at a new top speed, but of course now we drop back to 61. Eesh. So yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but something is clearly going on here, because we were doing fine in Montana. I don't know if the map can dictate that a little bit, where it kind of creates this inability to do something. I mean, obviously, with the terrain, if it is just this perpetual rise, which again would be totally counterintuitive to the actual physical location we are in the country, because we're kind of heading over to the east side, which is a lot less mountainous. I mean, as we get down toward Tennessee, South Carolina, you know, head further east, there are the Appalachians over there. But, you know, we're kind of coming up on the Mississippi River area here, which isn't modeled kind of at all in the game. It's not as if the Minnesota border, when we cross it, you know, into either Wisconsin, or when we get down, it might take us down to Iowa, but I'm not sure. But, you know, if we hit the east side of Minnesota, that's the Mississippi River there. And I don't even think it has a river on the map, because they don't model water on these maps that I've seen. So there's not a whole lot of that, if any of that. I mean, obviously they have water, you know, kind of at the edges. I'm sure, you know, if we went to the border on the East Coast, I'm sure there's ocean out there or something, but maybe not. Maybe they just keep you far enough inland that they're like, you can't see the ocean. Oh, look at that, we're at 68. But this is at least kind of what I was hoping for, is to get to the point where we're actually moving along at the rate we can, because the 60s are not fun. It's one thing when you're in California and the speed limit is 55 and we have to go 60, but we don't have to do that here. So I'd rather not. Because otherwise that also, you know, changes the position of how long it takes in real time and in game time. Alright, so we spent like an hour and a half in game time running at that slower pace. I still got my cruise set at 80. I'll probably adjust that down, because it does look like we're going to go past 75 here, and going 10 miles an hour over is definitely a way to get hit. You know what? I'm going to stop for gas. I don't need to rest, but I'm down to 250 miles, and that is nothing on this map, so we don't have the problem, I guess, of hitting 80, because we have to slow down. Alright. So let's get ourselves fueled up. Obviously only takes a few seconds, especially with the dinky tank we have. It's probably at best a 150-gallon tank. So, alright. So yeah, we're still going to have at least 2 fuel spots, so like I said before, 2 or 3. Because yeah, we're at 1,357 miles, and the tank itself is 688, so if I ran the thing dry, both times I might just barely make it. But obviously, the likelihood of being able to do that is going to be probably virtually zero. Because not only, like, there'd have to be a gas station right at that point, and I'm certainly not going to push it that far. So we may still have 3 or 4 stops, who knows? Because I can basically go like 400 miles before it's time to start panicking a bit, because then I'm down into the low 200s. At like 450, 500 miles in, so. Alright, so again, it has us in 10th pretty quickly, which is okay. Yeah, but at a minimum, as far as actual stops, we've got to stop to rest. I don't know that we'll necessarily be off cycle, because we fueled up and we had 14 hours to go, and we're finally hitting 7 hours to go, so we stopped with less than half our rest time. So if I press that a bit, which I certainly would be trying to do that a bit more, because it's only going to be like 8 o'clock at night, 8:30, so it's not that late. I'm assuming I don't exit right. Nope, I just said straight through Minneapolis. But we'll ignore GPS lady. And then she doesn't say recomputing, so clearly it kind of knows. It just is somehow the wrong instructions are triggered. I assume it'll tell me the same thing at the next cloverleaf, if not this interchange too, but we'll see. I don't know if it'll run us. It might run us through Chicago, which we know will slow us down, unlike Minneapolis that has a highway pass-through. The way Chicago's modeled on the map, you're actually going down to city streets. So, but I'm not sure that we can get much further than Chicago. We might not even be able to get that far before it's time to rest, because I don't remember how close Minneapolis is, but I don't think it's within 6.5 hours. It may be. I guess we'll find out. I thought there was another cloverleaf on the other side. Maybe there is. Maybe there were just more exits than we thought. Yeah, there it is. Alright. I do need to slow down to 75, because now I'm coming up on things. And nope, we're not going to exit right, because we don't want to go to Des Moines, which is in Iowa. And Minneapolis, I think, if I remember, is relatively close to the border of the state. I might be totally wrong. But 94 definitely goes into Wisconsin, so if it keeps us on 94, we'll be headed down that way, and it goes down through Wisconsin, again near Chicago, and then starts heading over. So there we go. Welcome to Wisconsin. So at this point, like, we would have crossed the Mississippi River somewhere there, and obviously we didn't. So, got a little ways here. Oh, now we can only go 65, so in theory we should slow down to 70. I'm at that point where I'm getting a little antsy. I'd like to just keep plowing along, but gotta obey the rules of the road, or we're gonna get ticketed. So yeah, now we've got these trees, which appear for quite a while, if I recall. But yeah, what I think my plan will be, because kind of the discussion about 1.44, the reason in my head is I'd almost be tempted to start, if I could, just the next run so that I know what I'm doing and just kind of keep moving. And all I'd probably do in the beginning is just select the run and get it set and not even start, because as I said, while I have enough time to finish, it's kind of just enough time, but I'm sure then later today I'll have some time to run a little more. But even if I don't, I mean, certainly in the next day or two, because right now it's winter in Farming Simulator on the in the FSN server, so I have to wait 3 days, counting today, before I can get into a planting window for my crops. So I would think within a 3-day window I could get one more run done, and so, but I definitely need to start that pretty soon to give myself a good pace, because if I get done with this today, as I'm planning to, this was just 2 days. I will have run one session, well, a few sessions yesterday, but done things, yesterday, and then ended up finishing today.
And then exit right.
This time we do need to exit right, so again, unfortunately on this map we kind of have to check at every intersection
Exit right.
because the GPS gives us poor directions. I'm hoping I won't catch these vehicles. Oh, come on, don't do that to me. So, I'll just dive around them. Oh, I'm so glad. I was worried that car was going to pull out right in front of me. That would have been a mess, because there was no way I could have slowed down in time, but it's a little bit of a chance to maintain our momentum. But yeah, there's no guarantee that, depending on the route I take, again, if I have something going through Mexico, I could have an issue. But I think in between, I am going to go take a look and see what other map options I have that could extend things a bit. Just why not? And so what we might have then is the ability to do something really crazy. And again, the only real crazy thing would be if I truly can get something that gets me through Central America and into South America. Because, then I'm already up in Canada, so even if I added in Alaska, I couldn't start there. But, I could start in Whitehorse again and, like I said, head down to Buenos Aires in Argentina or something, and wouldn't that be a hoot? But I don't know that anybody's done anything like that. I've never looked, so I might be surprised. And as I said, with the amount of maps that were there, I definitely didn't read them all, but it seemed like they were more like specific small areas. So part of my curiosity as well is, do those give me more roads? Like if I overlaid them on these, would I have more detail in Canada or in certain areas of the country here? So I don't know, I might find some things that could make our lives a little more interesting, even if they don't expand the map. It's just, I don't know what becomes too much or too confusing for the game and the computer to handle, though. Because as it is, I'm, running, if we just consider the SCS maps, a map, and don't really, I guess we could count it at that point, but in that case, I'm running basically 4 maps. I'm running the rest of the U.S., the SCS version of the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. So I'm running 4 maps now. If I suddenly run 8, is that doable? And once again, I mean, the problem is something like if there is like a South America map, I mean, that's a big landmass. I don't know distance-wise if that's in essence like Canada, the US, and Mexico combined, from a north-south space. I know it's not necessarily any wider east-west, but... And once again, having a map that is just a single road, I mean, again, I might do it once, but I wouldn't then be running it over and over again. Alright, so... Yeah, alright, so we're going to the loop. Alright, and then at this point, so actually, it's going to put us on 90, but yes, I still think it's heading us down to Chicago. Because I don't think there's alternatives at this point. There just aren't a lot of roads up in this area that they've got on the map. There's certainly tons of roads in reality, which is why it would be nice to have these more fleshed out, but I'm not a map designer, so I can't fix this. And even if I could, it doesn't sound like any of this stuff is quick to do, so I'm sure it would be months and months of work, and it would be work, that I'd be spending time working on maps instead of driving and doing stuff, so anyway, it's not something I've got on my list of things to do, learning how to map and whatever. That bus was almost not going to let me in. I was worried I was going to get hit with an accident, but it gave it to me. Alright, so now we're at 3.5 hours. It probably is the time where I need to start considering if I see a rest area. I need to at least double check how much time I have left. Obviously, if it shows up right now, I'd be tempted to continue. It's only 5 p.m. And if I rested now, it'd be 3 a.m. when I took off, so I'd be driving in the dark for several hours. And if I can avoid that, I would prefer to. But we're under an hour in real time. Under 19 hours in drive time in the game. And under 93 hours in actual time till we need to deliver. Or full time, not actual, obviously not actual time, but in game time. Again, Sunday at 12:51 is what our final delivery window is to not start getting penalized. So I feel good at this point. I mean, there's no reason to think that now in the US anywhere we're going to run into something that's going to slow us down substantially, as if we were delivering in Mexico or something. But alright, so maxed out on speed. Of course, it'll be just in time to probably hit some city or something that we're going to have to slow down in, but it's the nature of the beast. A dually pickup truck, a Dodge Ram. So yeah, it's hard to... I've been playing so long with some of the company and traffic mods and so forth at this point. I do remember just how blown away I was when I did that. Like, just the feel of the game totally changes when you put in, real truck, like that was a yellow freight truck that went by and so forth, versus just these random things. And, because there's like 300 or 400 different vehicle models, even though I've been playing for a while, like, I don't know that I recall seeing a dually Dodge Ram before in any of my gameplay, even though, you know, I've got hundreds of hours with the mods running. Alright, do I need to change again? Nope. Alright, so Milwaukee, and then, yeah, Chicago is just south of Milwaukee. But maybe we're out far enough that it won't take us through where we have to slow down. I don't know. We'll find out shortly. Because Chicago should, I mean, it's 100 miles at best from Milwaukee. So, depending on which area of Chicago you're talking about. So, you know, this might be the sign that's telling us welcome to Illinois. Actually, it looks like a mileage sign. There you go, 122 it says. Which in ATS happens not literally in the blink of an eye, but obviously this would be, you know, an hour and a half, if not more. Well, certainly with Chicago traffic it'd be more. But, you know, we're going to get this done in a matter of a few minutes. But yes, at this point, I just don't know that there would be another interstate that would be coming down that would be in the city any more than this is. I think we're going to end up going through that spot that I would prefer to have avoided, but not going to have any choice. We got to go where the road takes us. Even though obviously at times we've ignored that rule and driven in, you know, off the mini-map and places we shouldn't have. Of course, that's gotten us in trouble. But we'll see how that goes. Alright, so we're coming up on the big milestone. 1,000 miles to go there. So now we're below that. So we're in the home stretch, so to speak. Down to 328 till empty. There is the Illinois-Wisconsin border. So again, Chicago, this, you know, and its suburbs, but right up against the border of Wisconsin. So we're kind of we're in what would be called the greater Chicago area at this point. So usually when they talk about, you know, there's 12 million people, it includes space out here in the suburbs and so forth. And again, having lived there for a long portion, you know, it's at this point still the majority of my life, I can assure you it's not quite this empty out in the suburbs. You know, this far out, just right across the border, there's definitely some farmland and this and that, so it's not overgrown, but we're getting really, really close, especially at the rates we close ground here in ATS, to the point where, yeah, we just see tons and tons of buildings, and people and cars and so forth. But hopefully here we'll just see the city and not have to deal with too many stoplights, but I don't think we're going to get fully lucky, although I think we're going to have to pull over and rest. Because, yeah, now we're at an hour and a half, and we haven't seen any rest stops. Well, rain again. Twice in one run, right when we started, and now we've got it again. Nice. So yeah, hopefully we'll find some place to stop soon. Guess let's look at the map. Alright, so we're gonna have to pull over and head over there. Well, we could go here. That might be cleaner. Plus that gets me by a gas station, and we're again at 277, so yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. Again, we may be at the point where, with what I've got as my equipment, I'm going to have to disconnect. But I just am not going to run risks of getting hung up for minutes trying to get a trailer out of somewhere, because it doesn't give me realistic rest stops. Because again, if there were rest areas at reasonable rates where every 100 miles or so I'd have one, I wouldn't have that problem. So. But, you know, with regards to time and so forth, this actually will work out pretty well, and
Go straight on.
we're going to be pretty close. We're not going to be close on the mileage for fuel, but we're going to be right there, I think, on sleepy time. Because, yeah, we turn here, and then we're exiting almost right away, so just gotta keep an eye out. And then we're heading off to the left. But yeah, we're down to 40 minutes now. And obviously, at least here on the, assuming that's supposed to be the Sears Tower, with the two antennas on top. I wonder if I guess they all have antennas on. Whoa.
Go straight on.
That was not what I expected. Goodness gracious. Ooh. Alright, we did stop. I was standing on the brakes, I promise you. But it kind of snuck up on me. Listen to the rhythm of the rain, right? There's a song with that title. It's like a little, not a golf cart. I think it's one of those mules. Not something you'd normally see. I don't even know that they're legal on Chicago streets, but we've got it here. It's going to be fun to see our light. Hopefully we'll be able to see it through the rain. We will. I'm just being funny, but there we go. Well, he's zippy, isn't he? Anyway. Oop, I don't know if we've got anybody. No, thank goodness we don't.
Reroute.
Yes, we know you're rerouting, but that's how it works.
Turn right.
Got gas to get, sleep to achieve. Yes, I didn't look, but I'm trusting it's not going to send cars down upon me. And yeah,
Turn right.
this looks like,
Turn right.
yeah, I'm not going to try that because then I'd have to, so I'm going to stop right here. I'm going to disconnect, and I am going to leave it, and I will get gas, and I will sleep, and then I'll come back and get it. It's not that far. We're just going to the Peterbilt. Alright. So we got 329. 329? Oh, because I disconnected. I don't have a trailer. I'm like, wait a minute. We were like 200 something. But so I don't know how much we actually had. Because, yeah, without a trailer, this is telling me I can go 958. I wonder if that's the same guy. Could be. He's just circling the city here at 8 o'clock at night. Just out for a joyride. Oh, yeah, I guess nobody'd be coming from that direction because my trailer's parked in the middle of the road. Forgot about that.
Finding a new route.
So, we'll pull in here. Good news is then we'll discover that. But yeah, there's no way with a trailer that I'd be able to maneuver and then get out of here. I'm going to go ahead and repair because I'm sure I've got just wheels actually. So 6% damage on my tires, but I'm in there. The employer's paying for it. We'll do it. So let's see. There we go. All right. So let's rest. I didn't look specifically, but we were below half an hour at the gas station, so I'm sure we didn't have a lot of time to spare. All right. So let's go collect ourselves back up, hitch back up to our limestone, and keep going.
Turn left.
You know, and it's stuff like this that does take then a little bit of time because, you know, A, we're slowing down. You know, we're spinning in circles. We're not actually making progress. That's interesting. The thing doesn't have legs. It's just like chalked up on blocks. Kind of just trying to stay in my mirrors here. A little bit of realism versus doing the overhead that I do for parking, which is bad enough, but
Drive safe.
so obviously I wasn't quite lined up. So it shifted pretty substantially. But yeah, we'll go ahead and turn right here. Get ourselves over. Oh, come on. All right.
Get ready to turn left.
I will.
Turn left.
What is that? Oh, cocktails. It's a bar. I was trying to figure out if it was something even less appropriate. But I'm like, I don't think they have that in the game. But once again, with some of the mods, who knows what they put in for realistic signs. A lot of U-Haul banners around here. And I guess we did sleep, so I was going to say just as quickly, the rain is over, but we did sleep for 10 hours, so.
Go straight on.
I guarantee you there is, well, I can't guarantee, Chicago's pretty big. Haven't been down every road, but the likelihood of any building with a neon cactus on the side of it in Chicago is probably pretty much close to zero. So I'm sure that model is moved from somewhere a little bit warmer than this. Even South Carolina wouldn't have it. It'd be more out west, Arizona, New Mexico, you know, that area there. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Why am I not going? I'm a fool. The light is green. I'm sitting here. It's because the arrow's lined up in front of me. I'm thinking I'm turning, but I'm like, I'm not turning left. So that would have been very unfortunate if I was like waiting through a whole light cycle. A life cycle would have been even worse, but I'm sorry, sir. He just died at the stoplight. Need a new driver. Anyway. Enough with the morbid humor. But again, these longer videos, sometimes I get to that slap happy stage. Once again, I've been driving for an hour and a half or so today. Got almost another hour to go. It's been a long time driving. Oh boy, that's a police officer. I'm going to get a ticket. I'm surprised I didn't already. I was going 46. That would have been a nice ticket. But this is nice and slow out of the city here. Do we just go straight? no, we're going to turn left, and then we're going to turn right onto 65. All right. Say I can go a little faster, but I do have to be careful. And again, it's not like I'm going that far. I'm just going to this interchange. And it would be nice to know if he's going to be going with me. Again, I was probably at the top end. I was 37, so I was already 7. Oh, well, now it's 65. So, screw that. I'm flooring it. Alright, so we enter here, simply to exit again before we know it. Which again, that's already, in the real world, 65's in Indiana, so we'll see if that's how it's modeled here. Maybe we're already in Indiana and it didn't tell us. But yeah, it's just that little tiny bit in the corner of Illinois that you go through if you're making this type of trip. But in real life, that takes you 3 hours, 4 hours to get through, so. And a lot of that is because of traffic, because it's really only like 150 miles maybe, but maybe 200, but yeah, it's it adds up. Well, there we go. There's the Indiana sign. And I know when I've driven this before, because we did it pretty early since we started out in Ohio. That is an Indiana sign that they certainly, if nothing else, had at one point. Whether they're still the signs or not, not sure. Haven't been traveling that way in many years, but so this is then where we do exit for I-65, and then that will take us a ways. Again, I know I-65 goes through Nashville. I don't know if this is taking us all the way there, but if not, we're headed in that direction. But this will take us Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. But then at some point, we've got to start heading a little more east to get over to South Carolina. So we'll see the route that it takes us, but we're down to 850 miles. Alright, we're cruising already at 70. That is awesome. So that downhill entrance ramp assisted our launch. Partly cloudy skies ahead, it looks like. We've got more time to get there than we have available to drive before we're required to rest, so we will be, at best, arriving on Friday, but that will still be 2 days ahead of time. I wish they'd give like extra experience for being super fast. That would be awesome, but they don't. So, but yeah, this is then kind of this grassland. I think we've got several spaces again where we're going to have the road and the land just kind of floating into the sky. I'm sure we're going to hit some of those on the way. Amazingly, this wasn't one of them, but no, the good news is, you know, we're getting close. Great news is we didn't have any crashes driving. Not that I expected any. I've not had any issues out of Canada, other than boredom. But that's just causing my brain to crash, not the game, so. But now And I don't think we're going to be able to go much faster than this in this part of the country. It's possible we'll hit some roads that allow us to go 70, but that will be the maximum. So this is likely our pace for the remainder of our journey, if not slower, but hopefully not slower. And Indiana, and just like Illinois, they're pretty long, north-south, so if we stay on I-65, I think we'll be crossing in around Louisville. And so that will be in Kentucky with all the horses and so forth. Oh, Sinclair. I don't know that I've seen this tanker either, but it makes sense that we would, although they're not as prevalent as they used to be. Walmart now, on the other hand, they're everywhere. Although I must say, I haven't seen a lot of Walmart trucks. I see a lot of Amazon trucks. That's what I need. That's what they need to add in the game, is the Amazon Prime trucks, where, you know, they've got the Prime is more than just whatever. I don't know. I don't even remember what it says on the vans. There's FedEx. But, no, as I said, just the variety of vehicles and just stuff, it's hard to put a finger on how different the game feels when you're doing that, because it just gives you that dose of reality. But there you go, there's the land, and the way it looks, it almost looks like, oh, it's just a mountain and it's not really falling off, but, you know, we know what it's rendering, and it's just a strip of land floating in the universe. But yeah, I think coming the other way, it looks the same way. Like if we're behind us as we come off of that, as we're heading into Chicago, because I think that's where we first experienced it on this map in the first 3 or 4 episodes for sure. This is gonna slow me down again some insane amount. See, and to me, that was like more than needed to happen again, because it's like it's like it wasn't even trying. There wasn't any gas being applied at all. So unfortunate that it does it that way. I don't understand, but I don't know. I think I-65 will take us through Indianapolis as well, which is smack dab in the middle of the state. So, I can't imagine that wouldn't be on the map. I don't honestly remember, but... And there goes the Sinclair truck, so he obviously either had more power or weighed less than we did, and made it up that hill a lot better than we did. But, you know, seeing these Jeeps and these Chevys and all this other stuff go by, it's much nicer than the, you know, because I think the base game only has like 80 different vehicles or something. So I think those remain, but then there's, you know, 300 and some additional ones. And as I said, I haven't updated the Jazzy Cat file in at least 6 months, if not more. So, you know, he may have added another couple dozen or more vehicles in. So I should probably take a look. Could have even more variety, and of course you get across the trucks and the painted trucks and the buses and the classic AI and the traffic AI. You know, I think there's 5. Those are the 5 traffic files. You know, if they add 10 or 15 cars to each one, you know, you're talking 50 to 75 new vehicles that are suddenly available. Oh boy. That was way worse than this is just turning into a mess. Well, at least I avoided the accident, but I was not expecting him to slow down that much. Oh, this isn't even an exit. It's just changing to 3 lanes, and they all did that? ATSAI. Do not like it. Because that was the one thing that we aren't able to run as realistic traffic, because I forget what it was, but when I did that, like, stuff wasn't working right. And so we decided to run this series without that. Uh-oh. Do I have to exit right? No. Alright. Suddenly freaking me out, but I'm like, I think I just need to stay on I-65, and I do. But now we're at Indianapolis, so we're basically halfway through Indiana only. Obviously slowing down to 50 miles an hour and having to speed up again isn't helping us any. Getting to that, it's not hangry, I'm not hungry and angry, but there really isn't another word for it that's like it. So, but yes, that kind of hangry temperament of just want to get there, stay out of my way. You know, I'm close, and it's been a long run, because that is the one thing that's nice with like the shorter runs. You know, if I'm doing 250, 300, 400 miles, they're short enough that I just don't get to that antsy state in the middle that then leads to what I'm having now, where, I mean, I'm not technically close, I'm still 700 miles away, but when you're talking about a 4,000 mile journey, you know, 700 miles is pretty close. The only difference is, you know, you'd have to put up with me being hangry for another half hour, so I'll try to brighten my mood. I don't know what kind of car that is. It's like, almost looks like a Mercedes or BMW, some sort of a luxury vehicle, but just by the body lines, but not sure. Whatever it is, the nameplate is melding into the metal. We were catching him, now we're kind of not. So I don't know if we'll get close enough to be able to tell or not. Because all we need is one stupid little hill, and he'll be way up where those trucks are in no time. We are gaining on him a bit. Will we catch him? This is now what we're looking at as we drive through the fields of grass. Yeah, even because you usually got like farmland here and stuff like that, but obviously putting in farm fields and different crops or something, that would just complicate things, so I get why they don't do that. But in any event, I'm like leaning forward. I want to see. Yeah, I think that's like a BMW. Yep. Almost positive that was that circle with whatever the BMW shape is. This might be another, well, this might just be a Dodge SUV. Yeah, I think that's a Dodge. It's obviously a lot easier to tell when and that's a Jeep. Clearly says Jeep. I think these were the ones, I mean, obviously we just passed that Sinclair truck that we were near before. But yeah, we're moving along. So I think I'm over enough to move over to the right lane. I at least won't like slow down and mess traffic up like everybody that suddenly did when the highway was getting wider. I mean, again, that's where the AI is just amazing to me, and I'm sure it's, you know, anytime it has to change lanes, it's just set to do so cautiously, because obviously otherwise, especially at the angle, those things change lanes. Alright, so we do want to move over here, and so yeah, that's Louisville, as I said, but basically at the far end we'll take the loop, and then we'll head further east. But yes, at this point, we're in Kentucky, but we obviously didn't see a Kentucky sign. I'd be surprised if we see it down below, because they would have been in Kentucky for a while on this road down below us. I am slowing down, but it is trying to drive me off the road really, really hard. Luckily, we hung on to it. I guess maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll say welcome to Kentucky here, but I would have thought this was already in Kentucky. But again, maybe the map makers were less familiar with the geography. But in any event, now it's telling us we're in Kentucky. And the good news, even better news, we can theoretically go 75 in Kentucky. So we'll try. We'll see how well that works. Probably not very well. Still have 365 miles still empty. Over 8 hours till we need to rest, so not even halfway through our rest window. But yeah, we're basically within 3 hours of the rest window and the final drive time. So absolutely, when we rest next time, that will be it for resting. Alright, we've come this way before. We haven't gone the other way. So now we're trekking over familiar terrain and may not get any additional discoverables, but we'll see. We shouldn't go all the way over to Pittsburgh, but we may. I don't know. Let me see if I can... Alright, nope. So, yes, an I-75, I think, takes us pretty much all the way where we need to go then. So that should be our last major road change, other than if it just diverges, which I think it does somewhere, because I think it kind of goes with another interstate for a while. But I don't know that it's going to be that elaborately modeled here in these maps. But obviously I'll absolutely hit that interchange and everything before we're anywhere near needing to stop. And I'm sure it'll be right at the time that we're getting close to going 75 miles an hour at our max speed, because, again, that's kind of how it works. So yeah, I'm almost feeling like I have to, like, repeat my stories or something, because, you know, we might have new viewers. I don't have necessarily anything different to talk about. I only have so many things I can share, so... So we shall see how this all plays out. But again, it seems on the map like, ooh, we're right there, and then you're driving and driving and driving before you get there. So here are these weird mounds. I think I commented on them before in the previous episode, that just kind of rise up out of nowhere in the Kentucky fields. And again, it can be hilly in this part of northern Kentucky, but nothing that obvious where it's totally flat and then you've got this bubble that comes out of the ground. Alright, I'm thinking that's the interchange. Obviously I want to make sure it is. Okay. Thinking I'm gonna have to slow down a bit, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's sharp, but it's not. I think I might, maybe I can make it without slicing off a lot of speed here. Cool. I don't know what happened there again. God. Now we're in stupid I'm in 9th gear thing. Alright, now we've got us in 10th, but we'll have to do a bunch of crazy things in the interim. 500 miles. Exactly. So, another big milestone. And at this point, as I said, this gets us to the direction of Savannah, which is where this appears to be taking us to, if I remember from the mini-map. Alrighty, so... yeah, I see these Globus trucks all the time. It's not a name I recognize, but it must be a real company somewhere. I just don't know it. Or maybe that's a remnant of the others, but I think like the base game made up ones get overwritten by some real company, because I think basically that's how those mods work, is they take the, you know, like whatever it is, Walbert, I think, is the one that everybody understands as Walmart, and that then becomes Walmart with the Jazzy Cat mods, but it's doing it again. It switched to 9th gear, and why does it do this? Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm pressing the gas myself, and it's just not going. This is so frustrating. I hate this truck. I think it's just honestly this truck model that is doing this. Because once again, I'll slow down, and now it's switched to 10th gear, and that's what I need. But why did it drop down to 9th? Just because it was going downhill. Like, leave it in 10th. Yeah, and this almost looks like we're driving in Hawaii, which obviously we're not. It's kind of funny, but... so, at least we get a little bit of a downhill. We'll get some speed. As long as it doesn't switch gears, we'll be okay. But now we're getting a little bit of a hilly run here, which again is fine. Ooh, nice orange car. I like orange. It's my favorite color. Uh, 6 hours, so I don't need to stop yet. 223 miles, though. Let me look real quick. Yeah, we're gonna stop and get gas. Darn it. Just when we're starting to move again, but otherwise I gotta get out and drive around a city. It's gonna take way, way longer than just pulling off and filling up and getting right back on, so I definitely don't want to miss the opportunity here. That would be foolish, because we have an extra 5 minutes, 10 minutes of just fumbling around in the city. And again, this run's been long enough, but yeah, it's far too early to rest, so we're not gonna do that. And I'm sure, you know, as soon as I say that, it'll be like, I can't find a rest stop, but hopefully not. But we'll get going again here, and see how long it takes us to get up to speed, and see if we can get stuck in 9th gear again. Let's see, we're up to 8th. I'm sure it'll... because normally it gets up to 10th pretty quickly. And yeah, given that this is an uphill, maybe it will switch relatively soon. Maybe not. Yeah, this isn't helping. Alright, went down to 8th. That's a good a good sign, because at least then it doesn't normally stay in 8th, so once it starts to speed up as we crest the hill here, then maybe by the bottom of the next hill we'll get to 10th is my hope. See how it all plays out. The mystery wrapped inside an enigma. Oh, USPS. We deliver for you. That's an old truck design. It's an oldie but a goodie, though. I remember those with fondness, so there we go. Now stay in 10th. Again, we've got enough of a run here that I think it should be, because we'll then be well up, and then we're heading uphill, so... So, yeah, just as we hit 60, whatever, 68, 70 miles an hour. Alright, so there we go. We are into Tennessee now. And again, that one looks passable for a Tennessee sign. Having lived there, I definitely saw many of those, because the state's not that big, and anywhere you go, half the time you're leaving the state. So we definitely had gone from Tennessee to Kentucky to do things periodically, and you know, longer trips going down to Florida from Tennessee, so saw it a good amount of times for certain. So they're not quite like that, but they're close. Good news is now we're starting to fall. I was gonna say we've kind of started going up the other side and haven't sloughed off a lot of speed, but of course as soon as I say that, then we start sloughing off speed. Alright, so it looks like this had us exit. Yeah, we do need to do that. So we'll do that. Alright, and then it's gonna have us... Okay, so this is Knoxville, so we're right in the corner, that bottom southeast corner of Tennessee. And then, so this actually looks like now we're kind of going the new route.
Keep right.
And then we'll be, because yeah, Kingsport is,
Exit right.
I think, in the corner of the state. Although I thought it was up north, so it doesn't seem to be correct here on 40, but I don't know. Depends how they do it, because I think 40 heads over to like Asheville, North Carolina, but we'll see how that all goes. Because yeah, then we exit right here pretty quickly. But yeah, we're done with gas at this point. We got 635 miles, and we have less than 400 till we get there, so we're good on gas, but we are going to have to rest one more time. So we should hopefully then be delivering early Friday morning, or sometime Friday morning. Because it might not be so early, because even at this point it'd be 1 a.m. on Friday if we stopped right now. But yeah, we're gonna just get moving along again, and then hit a point where we need to slow down to exit. But yeah, this is the part where we're kind of at the road that comes in at the south of the city, and then we'll be heading south further. Yeah, that's what I figured. That's why I wasn't slowing down. I'm like, we're going to lose some speed coming up the hill here. I think we'll be able to maintain the control. Is this North Carolina? I don't know, this is a weird sign. Whatever it is, looks like a bear claw or something. Oh, Lady Bear Trucking. Interesting. Wonder why they get a billboard. Not sure that bears have 6 claws, but those bears do, I guess, so. There you go, 40 east to Asheville, like I said. So yeah, so this will take us to North Carolina, and then obviously South Carolina, and then we'll be done. So, telephone poles here. I think that's the first time we've seen any kind of telephone poles. Oop, this is a sharper turn than I thought. I could see it on the map. But yeah, I think this is the first time I've seen anything like this on the coast-to-coast map. So maybe whoever did these kind of cared about it a little bit more, because yeah, we've got like real hills with trees going up them and everything. This looks nice. So whoever did this part, look at that. They even put Tennessee on the map. They got a tunnel. Wow. I feel special. This is pretty intense for what we've been experiencing in the non-existence of things. But yeah, Asheville is very much like this, kind of in the mountains. You're coming out of the Smoky Mountains, the part of the Appalachians, and yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. Now again, I don't know what I need to do, so alright, I continue there, and then we go on 26, huh? Alright. Interesting. But yeah, that's a welcome sign I've seen before. And there is a Cleveland, Tennessee, which is what that Cleveland likely is. It's not telling us that that'll get you to Cleveland. Oh, look at that. They actually have way stations down here. Like, these people have modeled the heck out of this thing. Why isn't the rest of the map like this? It would make it so much more interesting. Because, yeah, it's even like the normal thing. Like, I don't discover the road that I got off of. Alright, how much do we weigh? Look at that, 84,955 pounds. So, we are not light. Which would make sense, because I'm thinking that 46,000 pounds of limestone is actually just the limestone. So, those giant steel beams and everything that form those trailers aren't part of that weight. Do we continue through here? No, this is where we move. That's where I was getting a little confused, because I'm like, I'm not seeing 26, but I think I see it now. So. Right. Well, this ended up being a very pleasant surprise, for sure, because, you know, to me this is nice. Like, this is a map that now I feel like is approaching what I get from SCS. I mean, I don't feel like it's just stuff and just very simple terrain. And, you know, I'm thinking just like Mexico or whatever, I'm guessing there's different modders that did different pieces of this, and then it all just gets pulled together in that coast-to-coast map in total, which is why you've got some states like, you know, Oklahoma and those, I think, that have got a lot more road in them versus states like Montana that just have 2 roads, 3 roads crisscrossing them, and that's all that was modeled. Because I think even if the entire interstate network was modeled, just in that, there'd be more roads on the base maps, on the C2C map, than there are. You know, they've done like key interstates, but they certainly haven't done them all. Alright, so we go straight for a while now. I just want to make sure we're not exiting here or anything like that. It's definitely making me pay more attention because they've got more stuff. But it also gives me some comfort that I might be able to find a rest area here without going crazy. So Biltmore is this giant estate that was owned by, I think, the Vanderbilts back in the day. But it's something you can visit as a tourist attraction now. I've not been there. I've heard it's really nice. But it's just a big house, so I'm sure it is nice. But so Columbia, South Carolina is 138 miles away. So not too far. And that again is kind of normal. North Carolina, South Carolina are not very huge states, but we do still have 260 miles to go. So I was worried it was switching me back to 9th gear again, but it's not. I'm not sure. Are we getting near the border? Is that why it says NC and then it's going to say SC? I don't know. So this might be, yep, I guess so. So welcome to South Carolina. So this is it. We are in our final state. 246 miles. That's surprising to me. I didn't think there'd be that much in South Carolina, but apparently there is. But as you can see, we're over 3,500 miles on our tripometer, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's an odometer, but it's for a trip, so tripometer is what I'm coming up with. But let's see, are we changing here? Nope, we go straight. Now this is really fleshed out. This is great. There's cities all over the place. Greenville, South Carolina. That is where I used to go for work. Cookout restaurants, if you've never tried them. Excellent, excellent. Best thing about them is the shakes. They have like dozens and dozens of handmade shakes for flavors. So pretty much any kind of flavor you'd ever want. And some you might not even know you wanted, but then once you read them, you're like, that sounds awesome. Let me try that. Oh, goodness. Gosh, my heart was in my chest again. I thought he was cutting all the way over. All right, Charleston. I assume we're going to go through that because it's only 170 miles. I just don't know if this is the interstate we now take all the way down or not. But it's telling me 11 minutes. So we're almost down to single-digit real-world minutes here, folks. You as excited as me? Maybe? I don't know. I don't know how we'd be able to tell. Yeah, they need to do... They probably have an app that's like one of those, like, love meters or stress-o-meters like you use at the carnival, that you just like put your thumb on your cell phone and it theoretically tells you how stressed or you are. So maybe we could tell that way if we both downloaded the same app and tested our excitement level right at this moment. Of course, I'd have to have it right now and be doing it to be able to tell you what mine was, because you sending me a comment and then checking then probably won't be the same. Alright, so we're merging in with some other road here. It's coming in to us, which is fine. It can do whatever it wants. I just want to keep moving along. But no, they've got more complex intersections. They've gone all out in this area of the map. Very nice indeed. I'm getting excited because getting down near Savannah and stuff, they might have really prettified it. Probably not. It's probably going to be very similar to this, but still. This is pretty cool. Oh, yeah, I guess I better not forget. I'm supposed to rest. That's why he's yawning. Alright, so I think that'll be my spot. Well, let's see. I think that might be too far. I don't know, an hour and 18 minutes. I guess let's see where we're at when we get there, but I think I'm gonna have to stop at that earlier one. It's just the other one's obviously quicker. I don't need gas, so if I could do a traditional rest area, that would actually be incredible, but I don't know that I can do that. Because, yeah, right now it'd be 6 a.m., and that wouldn't actually be too bad. Yeah, so it looks like at least we'll be doing this all in daylight. Do not cut in front of me. I do not want to be slowing down. Ah, this Publix truck is going to kill me. He's doing it anyway. Why did you move over? You're not even going faster than them. You are such a sad, sad truck driver. You should know better than that. Move over. Look at that. They got the whole don't drive hammered, don't drive drunk. Or you want to get hammered, don't drive drunk, or whatever it is. You know, as soon as I do this, he's going to move over.
Get ready to exit right.
No, I'm not going to get ready to exit right, because I know you're kidding me. Yep, just wanted to make sure, though, because it'll be just my luck that I'll suddenly be
Exit right.
going back into double-digit real time, because we're down to 8 minutes, folks. Even after the stupid, we're shopping as a pleasure truck. Shopping may be a pleasure, but following you is not. You're in the left lane and I'm passing you. That should tell you something. You're in the wrong lane. You should have never been over there to begin with. Look at that. We've got a new city discovered even, aside from the one we're delivering to. That is awesome.
Go straight on.
We are getting tired. 40 minutes. Probably could push it and make it. I don't know. We're still obviously not at the point where we'd be getting off yet, so I think at best we're going to be at like 30 minutes when we get there. Because we still go straight. Yeah, we're not. We got to go around that turn, get to the next exit. Although they've also figured out here how to get the time to slow down like SCS does in cities, because it's still 40 minutes. So maybe I will make it, because at this point it's not. I think now it's finally ticking down. I might have. No, it's actually going still a little slower. It did go to 39, but it's not like going down every 2 or 3 seconds. Now it finally is. But now we're almost at the turn. Because again, I had like an hour and 15 minutes, so it took me only like half an hour to get to where I was at, and that was from like up there. Tempting, tempting. I'm gonna try. I'm going to try to get there. I think I can do it without getting a sleep penalty, because I can go like another hour after that before it gives me a penalty, so I've technically got an hour and a half. So we're going to try it. As long as I don't get stuck by a bunch of traffic, it should be absolutely doable. So yeah, we're still at 23 minutes. So we're still going to have a little bit of time, just regular driving. And then we're going to have this clover leaf that we can pull, that we can go on and get on 95, and then we'll be moving along there. And if I hit that before I run out of sleep time, then I'm really comfortable. And this might already be it. Is it? It is. Oh yeah, we've got no problem. Because I think I'll already be on 95 before I hit 0 minutes. It's going to be close because we're going uphill and slowing down a bit here. And obviously time is still going to be time. And... oh, okay, he's not going this way. I was worried if he goes this way I'm going to have to slow down quite a bit, but he's not. So I'm not. 5 minutes. 5 real minutes. Alright, now we're at 0 minutes. So now we're technically in danger. Don't slow me down too much now. You're gonna foil my plans. Because I was assuming I was gonna be going at speed. Nice bump. Oi. Alright, I think I'm at the top of the plateau. And it's not much further. I think I can see it already on the mini-map. We haven't even gotten our first warning yet, so I think we're good. We're within 67 miles of the end, so we're basically going to wake up and be raring to go to deliver. So what's it going to be, like 7:30 a.m. maybe? But here we go. Tourist Info Center, rest area. All kinds of wonderfulness. I was going to say the trucks will be here. Oh, okay. Just stop right here on the road. Why not? All right. Good night. Beautiful Pepsi truck. Yeah. Again, not a... I mean, it's actually modeled nicely. I mean, the trees are really nice, but this grass and stuff is a little sloppy, but it's okay. It's way more exciting than what we've been driving through for thousands of miles, so hats off to the Carolina developer or developers. Nicely done. Ooh, Cardinal. I know them too. Cardinal Health. Alright, so I think very shortly we've got the exit, and then we head up. It's going to be over to our left. So, Ridgeland Town Limit, huh? There's the Coca-Cola billboard. We've seen that a lot. Oh, lots of police cars. These like speed traps? What is this? I think it is. Wow. I wonder if they set it up. That would be true South Carolina style. Because they are terrible for speeding tickets. So, it's just kind of funny if they really put that on the map and it's permanently there, because that is like the best model of South Carolina you could give. They're not normally as blatant as being set up with tents on the side of the road, but they might as well be. Because I've gotten a few speeding tickets there, and it's just truly like you cross the border and the speed limit drops like 10 or 15 miles an hour immediately, and they're like literally right there. And then they're just smiling at you, thinking they're all happy Southerners. Like, oh, here's your ticket. Send us lots of money. And then their like court process is insane. Like, you have to show up in person, and it has to be a lawyer from the state or something ridiculous like that. And I mean, again, not that you'd be flying your own lawyer down, but still, it just, you know, the likelihood, you start beginning to wonder if they'd actually represent you, or if they'd just be like, yeah, we're just part of the system to get money here. So, who knows? But yeah, I think I've driven through here. I just don't, again, Okatee, or Okatai, as I've said. Oh, Hilton Head Island. So there's the Disney resort here, that I've never gone to, but I could. You can literally feel these crazy patches. Wow, to the point, like, there we go. Great, now I got 12. You gotta be kidding me. Now I got 12% trailer damage from that? Now I'm gonna lose experience because I damaged my... Oh, that's gonna be really irritating. Alright, maybe I'm not so happy with the Carolina modeler now. Why would they do that?
Go straight on.
Yeah, I'm going straight on. So 1 minute, 18 miles. I think we turn... Do we turn left here? Like right here? We do. Okay.
Turn left.
Just wanted to make sure. Clearly there's nowhere else to turn left, so I'm like, I think it has to be here, but I just want to make sure I wasn't getting back on the interstate. Do more damage to my trailer. Yeah, literally 12%. Wow. Because, yeah, I had 1% damage up until that point. So frustrating. Because I may certainly lose money, too, so this may be even a less lucrative trip after all this craziness. Alright. But given the articulated nature, this is just going to be a pull-in. We're going to get 25 experience because it's going to be the simplest parking job we can have. But we just left a BHP Billiton facility and we're delivering to one. So all we did was kind of a intercompany transfer from one location to the other. So there we go, Okatee. So I'm not sure who that was that we just passed as far as a delivery point, but either way, this is a facility, that's for sure. Wow. Again, hats off, whoever did this. Very nicely done.
Go straight on.
Do I go straight on? Like where? Okay, let me look above. I can't tell. Yeah, I think we want to go this way and then pull in straight.
Get ready to turn
Yep.
right. Turn right.
I will. Hold your horses.
This is where it ends.
Is it? So dramatic. It's the way she always says it, but I don't know. It just struck me as more dramatic this time. There we go. Let's check it out. No red numbers. No red numbers. Awesome. Alright, we'll go up at least one. Yep. Because, yeah, at this point, like you can see, 64,400. The next one's 70,200, 76,300. So, you know, we've got lots of things we need to do, which is partially why I'm, you know, tempted to find some maps and drive some crazy route, because otherwise we may have more runs than I'm thinking. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to start owning a truck, and right now I need to be at least 25, I think. But I know there's stuff that unlocks at 30 that I just don't know if it's stuff that I want, but we'll have to see. But I know we need to get to at least 25, so to do that we need 70,200, so we need another 7,000 XP, which is certainly doable. We did 9,000 here, because that's the benefit, obviously, is we're high up here in level 23, so. Right, so that gets us done there. You can see we've got 12 deliveries finished. This happens to be episode 12, as I said, so we're doing pretty well, and I will see you next time.